by another councillor. The meeting was discussing the report of a group of auditors commissioned by the council to carry out an independent assessment of the purchase of 5 houses in Buncrana. Cahirla councillor Liam Blaney says he'll be asking the minister to change the law governing how meetings are handled. In the meantime, he says they'll be asking for Garda to attend the next meeting.
I'd rather not have Garda present, but unfortunately after seeing the behaviour we're seeing here today, we're going to be making a request, and a very strong request. There has been a request made to the Garda before to come here, but they haven't always taken up on that. But I don't think that we're able to meet in person anymore when you see what we're on here today, unless the Garda are involved too. So we're going to look to meet some of the senior Garda in the county within the next couple of days and see what we can do to ensure that the meetings will be held orderly, and the carry on we've seen here today will not happen again.
The government is expected to survive a motion of no confidence this evening. The Sinn Féin motion comes as the coalition lost its technical majority last week. Sean Defoe has more.
Sinn Féin's brought this motion saying the government's failed to deal with the crises in the cost of living and on housing, but the government says this is nothing more than pageantry in the final week before the Dáil summer break, and the coalition looks set to comfortably have the numbers despite technically losing its majority last week. Donegal TD Joe McHugh will support them from the opposition benches, saying his issue is with the Micah redress bill and not the government as a whole. Former Fianna Fáil TD Mark McSharry also intends to vote confidence in the government. Independent Michael Lowry's support gives the coalition 82 votes, with 80 a majority.
A number of agricultural shows taking place in the coming months across Donegal have been rewarded funding. Each show will attract funding in the region of €5,000 to €6,000, with funding based on voucher expenditure. With more, here's Donna Marie Doherty.
Minister for Agriculture, Food and the Marine and Donegal TD Charlie McConnell today confirmed the announcement of funding to agricultural shows in County Donegal. In total, €700,000 is being provided to support the return of the shows over the coming months nationally. The Finn Valley Show, Inish Owen, Glen Columkill, Mina Cross and Clonmany are among the shows set to receive money in Donegal. Commenting on the announcement, Minister McConnell said agricultural shows are part and parcel of summer life in Donegal, and it is fantastic that they are back in our calendars again this year.
To weather now, mostly cloudy this morning with patchy rain or drizzle, highs of 18 to 20 degrees. That's all for now. We'll be back with news again at 10 o'clock. Until then, good morning.
Can I get 2 specials, please? 1 sourdough and Caesar salad. And by the way, I'm 12 weeks pregnant.
Yes, Chef.
We don't always know who's at risk from COVID-19 and other viruses, but we do know how to protect them. Keep hands clean and wear a mask. Let fresh air in, get vaccinated, and stay at home if you are unwell. From the HSC. For us all.
The 9 till noon show with Letterkenny Credit Union, now offering mortgages from €40,000 to €600,000 with no hidden fees or transaction charges. Letterkenny Credit Union, 9102127.
Very good morning to you. It's the 9 till noon show on Highland Radio. It's Donal Kavanagh with you on the show for the next few days. Busy day as always. It's Tuesday, July the 12th. Lots happening and lots to get through over the course of the programme, as we say, but most importantly, we always stress this: your contributions, your perspectives, your views. This programme, what it is, and we would love to hear from you. You can make contact with us by telephone 074 91 25000. Caroline and Donna Marie taking calls outside. You can text us on 086 60 25000. That number good for WhatsApp messages as well. We're on email, of course. It's comments@highlandradio.com. You can use social media at Highland Radio on Twitter, Highland Hub on Facebook. And speaking of Facebook, of course, the programme being broadcast live on our Facebook channel. You can watch the Zoom conversations and participate there. You can also watch the show on our YouTube channel, and the show will be available to watch, of course, as a recorded video in both those areas after the morning is out. Let's turn to our papers this morning. It's a Tuesday, which means we have the Donegal People's Press. Main headline, McHugh to vote against no confidence motion. Donegal TD will not be hastening Sinn Féin's pursuit of power in Big Dáil vote today. That's the front of the Donegal People's Press. Also on the front, car was not taxed for 3,204 days, according to a finding that's been issued by Garda in Carndonagh. Plans for solar farm, an application for planning permission to develop a solar farm in Gudor has been lodged with Donegal County Council. That application from Udras na Gotha. And masses due to COVID. A Donegal priest has been forced to cancel all masses in his church this week after contracting COVID-19, and that's a story that points to a wider issue in terms of the availability of clergy and the number of priests in this and other dioceses. Derry Journal this morning. Main headline, no corruption in Ancranla purchase. A review into purchase of 5 houses at Ancranla sees council staff fully vindicated. There was a special meeting of Donegal County Council yesterday. Of course, you've heard a lot on the news yesterday and this morning about that particular meeting and some of the incidents and occurrences that took place on the fringes of the meeting as well. And it was there's a lot on our website, highlandradio.com. If you want to just go back over the details of what happened at that meeting, you'll hear the reports from Emma and the interviews Emma did. She attended the meeting yesterday, and lots, as I say, on our website, posted both yesterday and this morning. Moving to the Nationals, the Irish Independent bid to end turf war. Cash sales to friends will still be allowed. A lot of debate about this whole turf issue, and it's one of those things where when you try to legislate for things like community bartering and relationships between friends and stuff like that, things can get very messy because you have two systems. You have a legal system and a commercial system that operates on the basis of law and contract and things like that. And you have what we'll call, for the sake of argument, a community system. A system which is based on people cooperating at a local community level, where the currency is trust, the currency is friendship, the currency is helping your neighbour, the currency is, to each according to their need, from each according to their ability. And one of the things that's happening is we have a situation where lawmakers are trying to draft a law which is going to be rooted in contract and in commercial values, but it's a law that's trying to regulate what is effectively community cooperation. And there's going to be an awful lot of debate, I think, about this particular one before this issue is out. Also, jealousy theory probed as 2 arrested over murder of mum. Garda are investigating whether a woman ordered her partner to murder a mother of 2 out of jealousy. Lisa Thompson, age 52, was found stabbed to death at her home in Ballymun on May 10th. 2 arrests were made yesterday, both a man and a woman in their 30s. Irish Times this morning, full Uber contacts with government not disclosed in lobbying returns. US cab firm Uber and its Irish representative John Moran did not disclose discussions on the future of the business with top government and civil service figures in legal filings to the official lobbying register. The Uber Files is the title given to the story, with a nice little cinematic looking picture banner along with it. That's on the Irish Times. Abortion law falls short for women, says HSE. Legislation creating anguish and shame for women seeking abortions, a study finds. The law is particularly harrowing for those diagnosed with fatal fetal anomalies. And a Kitty Holland's story there on the front of the Irish Times. Also, funding for defence forces set to increase to €1.5 billion. Plans being brought to Cabinet this morning by Defence Minister Simon Coveney, and perhaps an indication of the way of thinking within government when we see what's happening in Ukraine and elsewhere. Let's go to the tabloids. The Irish Sun this morning, pint of stout. Locals living near the Guinness Brewery have branded a nighttime hum stout of order. Oh dear. The nighttime hum is stout of order. Yeah. Dublin residents lost their head. Oh Lord, this is going to be a pun fest, isn't it? Dublin residents lost their head after sound tests twice breached the evening noise limit. Drinks giant Diageo yesterday pleaded guilty to making a racket at historic James's Gate. But a local charity will be saying cheers to them as the firm agreed to pay them €10,000. Is there a law that says if you are doing a story about drink, you have to include the word cheers in the first paragraph? I don't know. Also, Neighbours finale exclusive. Jason and Kylie together again. A picture of Jason Donovan and Kylie Minogue looking good, along with a picture of Jason and Kylie back in the early days of Neighbours. And I must say, I am old enough to have watched Neighbours way back in the early days. I stopped watching Neighbours when the original Pippa went, because when the original Pippa went, then Neighbours, that was Home and Away, not Neighbours though, wasn't it? Yeah, it was. Now that I think about it, yeah, Pippa was Home and Away, it wasn't Neighbours. Ignore what I've just said. Yeah, when Helen Robinson left, that's when I stopped watching Neighbours long before Helen Robinson left, I suspect. But it's a nice little picture actually of Jason and Kylie. So presumably for the big Neighbours finale, Jason and Kylie are Scott and Charlene. And that was the worst Australian accent you would ever hear. Scott and Charlene will be back, one presumes, in Ramsay Square. Irish Daily Mirror this morning, couple held over mum murder. That's that same story of the arrests of two people in their 30s concerning the murder of Lisa Thompson in May. According to this report, Garda are questioning the couple on suspicion of murdering Lisa Thompson and using her home to store drugs. The pair are suspected of preying on the mum prior to her killing. And Maura tipped for I'm a Celeb as Ireland set for 99 degrees Celsius sizzler. Ireland may be set for a 99 degrees sizzler. The way the heatwave thing's been going over the past while, I'm not sure Donegal and the Northwest is going to share that particular experience, sadly. And the Irish Daily Star this morning, shameless claim, war of words, fury as Russian ambassador blames Ireland for invasion. TD, expel him now. Russia's ambassador, Yuri Filatov, said other countries, including Ireland, were really to blame for the war in Ukraine. I'm tempted to read the story just to see what level of justification or how anyone can even vaguely come to reach that particular conclusion. I have no idea. But that's the claim from Yuri Filatov, and obviously the predictable reaction is calls from TDs and others to ban him now. It's Highland Radio. It's 13 minutes past 9. Just a reminder, you can text us 086 60 25,000. Use that number for WhatsApp messages as well. We are available on the telephone 074 91 25,000, on social media at Highland Radio, on Twitter, Highland Hub, on Facebook, comments at highlandradio.com if you prefer to use email. Back after these.
The newspapers are courtesy of Kelly Centra, Mountaintop, Letterkenny.
Drivers, look out for motorcyclists. Many collisions occur because a driver did not check or see a motorcyclist approaching. Check your blind spots before moving off, turning, changing lanes, reversing or parking. From the Road Safety Authority, supported by Carroll Nash Insurance.
At Cherrymore Kitchens and Bedrooms, we are now operating out of one new state-of-the-art showroom in Donegal Town. And we invite you to visit our new 5,000 square foot Donegal Town showroom to discover the latest eye-catching designs. Remember, at Cherrymore, you're dealing directly with the manufacturer, which means high-quality kitchens at factory prices. Start planning your dream kitchen or bedroom by calling Cherrymore on 074 9725 822. Cherrymore, 25 years delivering value, quality and service all over Ireland.
Breedon's Furniture, Cooley-Maville. With over 40 years of experience in furniture and floor coverings, they've got Irish-made furniture, suites, beds, mattresses, dining, flooring, slide robes and occasional furniture. Great prices and large selection now available at Breedon's Home Furnitures, Cooley-Maville.
TCS is recruiting 200 new staff at their Global Delivery Centre in Letterkenny. Interested in a career in tech, business or design? Come along to the TCS Open Evening, where you'll get the chance to meet with staff and learn about their great learning programmes, career development and flexible working options. Drop in between 6 and 8 p.m. on Thursday the 14th of July or register in advance at openevening.tcscareers.ie.
The 9 till noon show with Letterkenny Credit Union. Is your bank leaving town? Letterkenny Credit Union is now offering MyCU current account and debit MasterCard, bringing full banking features with no appointment necessary to open your account.
This is the 9 till noon show on Highland Radio. I happened to be going through Dublin Airport a week ago last Saturday. It was July 2nd. And in the arrivals hall, I noticed something I'd never seen before. There is a space sort of to the right of the baggage carousels in the arrivals hall and the baggage claim area of Dublin Airport. There is an area corralled off in which there are, it seemed to me, hundreds of bags and cases just sitting there. Presumably they're bags which had been lost, bags which hadn't been claimed, and bags which are awaiting reclamation by their owners, and they were just sitting there. I had never seen that before, and it's perhaps a testament to the issues that have been experienced at a number of airports in recent times. I'm joined on the line by Linfy, who has a story to tell. Linfy, good morning.
Good morning, Donal.
Linfy, you flew from Doha to Dublin on June 30th, which is 2 days before I was in Dublin, and sadly you lost your bag. Tell us the story.
We flew from Doha to Dublin Airport after a family holiday on June 30th, and we arrived in Terminal 1, and we came to know that one of our bags is lost. So we've been told by the ground staff to go to a counter and file a complaint, and we did that, and we filled the form, and we were told that we would be receiving the bag in the next 24 hours, and they said they will email us with their reference number on the next day to track our bag. But we've been doing that in the airline website every single day, and no information. So this time, we were told that the bag is still under tracing. So we started to ring around through the airports where we flew through. So every time we ring them, they will give us a number to, you have to ring this number, or we will email them. They will get back to us. But we didn't get any information about our bag and where it is located until yesterday morning. I rang Doha Airport, and they said the bag is forwarded to Dublin Airport on July 6th. But till today, we didn't get any information from Dublin whether the bag is reached or if we have the baggage. Who should we contact? What information we get? No one. So from Doha, they provided us with the Dublin number, which I rang. There's no answer. So I don't know what to do next.
Yeah.
Should I go to the airport? Who should I meet? Who should I speak to? Where is my baggage? No information.
Yeah, and it's one thing if you happen to be in Swords or if you happen to be somewhere like Ballymun, you can drop over to the airport to check. When you're in Donegal, you are not going to drop over to Dublin Airport. If you want to go down to the airport to try and find your bag, you are talking a day on the road, and you cannot do that on spec. You need proper and accurate information.
Yes, but we haven't got any email from any airport where our baggage is located. Is our baggage reached Dublin Airport? No such thing. Only thing I got till this time is the bag is forwarded to Dublin Airport from Doha.
Yeah. And I'm sure when you were going through the arrivals hall, when you were in the airport, you saw the same thing that I saw. You saw that area in the corner that's just full of bags, presumably waiting to be claimed.
Of bags. Yeah. I never seen that before.
Yeah, the same.
Dublin Airport, no.
Yeah, and part of the and there is a problem here because obviously the baggage claim area in the arrivals hall of Dublin Airport is a restricted area. Members of the public, rightly, are not allowed into that area. So there is no way, even if you were to travel to the airport, there is no way you can say to someone in the airport, look, I'm just going to nip in there and see if one of those bags is mine, because you cannot. You are absolutely barred from entering that particular area. It's 100% restricted. So from that point of view, there has to be information and someone in the airport going through those bags and trying to make genuine contact. I presume your contact number, telephone, whatever, are on labels on the bag. That, I mean, you can be traced from the information that's on it.
Yeah, because when we fill the form in the counter, in the arrival terminal, we have given all our information like email ID, number, address, everything. Yeah. They said they will send the bag to us next 24 hours, but with the situation now, I'm not expecting that.
Yeah.
It's been 2 weeks nearly now.
And the question, whose responsibility is it? Is it the responsibility of DAA, who control Dublin Airport? Is it the responsibility of the airline? And could we have a situation where the airline's trying to push it onto the airport and the airport's trying to push it onto the airline?
Oh yeah, because when we ring the Dublin airport, they will say it's completely up to the airline. And then when we ring the airline, they will say, right, well, they are trying their level best, but I think there is the handling companies who handle baggage. So we don't know who is handling our baggages on the behalf of airlines. So there's so much of uncertainty.
Yeah, and there are, I know, one Swissport is the name of one company that comes to mind, but there are others as well. Is it Etihad? Was it Etihad or Emirates was the airline you flew?
Qatar Airways.
Oh, it was Qatar, right? Yeah. So, I mean, and obviously Qatar are not going to have a huge presence in Dublin Airport, so they're going to be depending on that third party. So maybe even if we were to identify who the third party handling company that represents Qatar in Dublin Airport is, perhaps we might get a step closer to trying to resolve that. And if anyone out there can give us some help on this, I'm in the lucky position I haven't lost a bag, so I don't have that worry. Linfy, you have a bag, you've got valuables in that bag, you've got a wedding outfit in the bag that you want access to, and importantly as well, you have medication in the bag that you want to get to. So, I mean, it's important for you that this bag is found.
Yeah, of course. And not only that I'm the only passenger going through the situation. We have a friend from that company of the baggage in the same flight. He flew on the same day. He had staff late. So we are all waiting for at least an information to say, oh, your baggage is located in Dublin Airport, and guide us how to retrieve it, you know. But no such information.
Well, look, if there is anyone out there that can help us on this, if anyone can give us information or give us a steer as to where we might turn for information on this, I mean, you know, please do contact us, as we say, 07491 25,000, 086 60 25,000, that number for texts or for WhatsApp messages. It'll get to us either way. And if you can offer some help, please do. I was speaking to someone over the course of our travels, because we were on holiday recently and we went Dublin, Amsterdam, and then Amsterdam, Dublin. I will say, in fairness to Dublin Airport, I thought Schiphol Airport in Amsterdam was even worse than Dublin in terms of chaos. But I was speaking to someone in Dublin Airport coming back, and they were telling us that on an average day in Dublin Airport, under normal circumstances, there might be 30 lost bags. Recently, the average each day is 300. So that's a tenfold increase in the number of lost bags. And we know there are shortages in staff right across, from baggage handlers to frontline staff to airline staff themselves. So we know they're short-staffed, and obviously you don't want to make any claims of corners being cut or whatever, but it is the situation that, you know, there is a tenfold increase in the number of bags being lost. And Linfy, sadly, your story is a story that it seems is being replicated for 299 other people on average every day.
Yeah, sad. It's so sad.
Yeah. Well, look, Linfy,
we will be worried when we go for a holiday next, you know.
Yeah. Of course. Now, I mean, all I can say really is we'll put that call out. If anyone can give us a bit of a steer as to how to get accurate information, and what we need here is accurate information. As I said, if you're in Swords, you can drop in. When you're in Donegal, you are not dropping into Dublin Airport. You are driving 3.5 hours to get to the airport. You're going through the, I mean, even getting parking in the airport's a nightmare in its own right. You know, so, you know, the idea of dropping in isn't, of course you would. But there's no point in you driving to Dublin without knowing what's waiting for you when you get there.
Yeah.
So what we need is access to accurate information. And the worst thing being told is someone in Doha telling you we've sent it to Dublin, and someone in Dublin telling you, oh, I don't know if we have it yet, because as far as you're concerned, right now your bag is in limbo. I mean, the chances are your bag is one of hundreds that's sitting in a big pile over in a corner of the arrivals hall of Dublin Airport, and the chances are that is where your bag is, and you and I can both visualise exactly where that spot is. But, you know, we can't just drop in. So, you know, if someone can give us accurate information as to really what your best course of action is now. Linfy, in the meantime, thanks indeed for speaking to us, and I hope we can get that information. Keep on listening, and we'll get that information out to you as quickly as we can.
Thank you so much, Donal, for the support.
No problem at all, and I only hope we can. And knowing our listeners and knowing the record of our listeners, I strongly suspect we will be able to get some help before the morning is out, and I hope that happens.
Please.
Linfy, in the meantime, thank you very much indeed, and you have a great day.
For you too. Thank you very much.
Indeed, that's Linfy there. Now, as I said, I certainly had never seen that before, and if you've been through the arrivals hall in Dublin Airport in recent times, you may well have seen it itself. There's a whole area at the corner of the arrivals hall just full of bags. And as I said, I was told by someone in the airport that under normal circumstances, maybe 30 bags a day would get lost. Now, when you think about the thousands upon thousands of people passing through that airport every day, 30 bags being lost a day, on the one hand, it's 30 people being inconvenienced, but it's not a huge number in proportion to the number of travellers actually going through the airport. But when you consider, that's now up to 300, that's a 10-fold increase. It is a worrying situation. That's Linfy, and if you can give us any ideas as to the next course of action, please do. We'd love to hear from you. Let's just look at some of the issues that have been making the news. Here's one that's interesting. We've all heard stories and seen the videos of seagulls swooping on people and stealing their chips on the seaside. Did you know the government has spent €100,000 on consultants' reports into pest seagulls? The Irish Mirror is reporting that the scourge has been referred to the European Commission by Junior Minister Malcolm Noonan. Social Democrats co-leader Catherine Murphy received details of the taxpayer-funded research. She says the amount of money involved is, in her view, difficult to understand. Also, the National Lottery encouraging members of the public buying tickets for tonight Euro Millions draw to purchase early. The jackpot at 230 million has reached a historic high. So far, 17 Irish ticket holders have won Euro Millions jackpots. I always find it sort of slightly funny that, when there's 230 million euro available on Euro Millions, people suddenly buy tickets. It's as though, sure, it's only 72 million. It's not really worth me while. I'll wait until it goes above the 200 and then I'll buy a ticket. It's a sort of a strange thing. I've never quite understood that, but that is the way things are. Now, I am going to go to a call as soon as I find the piece of paper on which the details are written, because I am a pro. Dr. Catherine Conlon is an assistant professor of social policy at Trinity College in Dublin. You'll have heard the headline we read out from the Irish Times this morning that abortion legislation in Ireland is falling short of women's needs. Katie Holland writing a very interesting and insightful article. Let's go to Dr. Conlon in Trinity. Dr. Catherine, good morning.
Good morning.
You'll have read Kitty Holland's article, Doctor, and from the point of view of an expert on social policy, you'll have taken an interest, obviously, I'm sure, over the years in the repeal the eighth movement, the repeal, the subsequent legislation, and the way that legislation has been implemented. From your read of the article and from your experience observing the situation in recent times, what's your take on this story this morning?
Yeah, in fact, Kitty's article is based on research that I carried out for the HSE, where they funded us to carry out research to study women's experiences of using the abortion service in Ireland since it was legalised in 2019. So we interviewed 58 women who had access care, 46 access care under Section 12 of the Act, which is under 12 weeks, and that care is accessed through your GP. And 12 women sought to access care under Section 11, which is over 12 weeks gestation, where there's a diagnosis of a fatal fetal anomaly. And that's the basis of our findings for the research. So Kitty's piece really focuses on women who were seeking to access care where there was an indication of a fatal anomaly. And what our findings showed was that the legal requirement or the legal criteria to qualify for care there is specified as certainty certified by 2 doctors that the fetus or baby will not live beyond 28 days. But in our findings, what women found was that the implementation of that involves a multidisciplinary team, and it takes a long and protracted process of assessment, during which a number of different disciplines are involved, and there's a lot of contestation often and mixed opinions by doctors, and there is a criminal element in the Act. So if doctors do not get the decision right, they are subject to criminalisation. So doctors are incredibly cautious, and that caution translates into them being quite cautious even about their communication with women.
And this obviously, and this is happening at a time when a woman is going through. It must be a really horrendous thing, because I'm sure many women who find themselves in that situation, they want to give birth, they want to have a child that they love. They're being told that they believe that the child that they are carrying is not going to live. That they're grieving that. They're looking at their potential medical treatment, and that medical treatment is now the subject of a debate, both in terms of morals, but also in terms of, if we carry out this course of action, are we breaking the law? And the woman is right in the centre of this, and the maelstrom of emotions must be horrendous.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. It's a time of incredible anguish, and for all of the women we spoke to, and for most women who do go through this assessment process, it's often a much wanted pregnancy, and they are, on the one hand, really devastated to get this diagnosis, and on the other hand, they want as much information as they can, and doctors are feeling constrained and hamstrung as to what they can, with certainty say, because inevitably medical technology is, there is margins of uncertainty, and the requirement of the law is absolute certainty. So you're absolutely right. And during repeal, women felt that it was their stories that had, generated compassion among their fellow citizens to vote for repeal of the Act, so that women would not have to travel. And yet here they were, in our study, 6 of the women we spoke to did not qualify for care in Ireland, and they had to travel to Britain. And it was incredibly harrowing, and they felt, compounded stigma, shame and judgment, because they were, not even qualifying when care was legal in Ireland. Then there was the trauma of travelling, going to an unfamiliar place, and the most difficult piece was, if they wanted full genetic testing of the baby's remains, they had to leave the baby behind them in Britain. And they, women wanted to bring their baby home, they wanted to grieve the child and have the usual, burial and memorial processes that we all have. And they had to, face this choice of leaving their baby behind and getting full diagnostic certainty that would inform their next decisions about, going ahead and having a baby or not. And so they were left feeling incredibly cast out, denied care and unsupported. And also during the process, they felt that they had to piece together information, because clinicians, they really felt there was a shadow of the law in the room that was infecting their interaction. And as you said, in some ways, women are at the centre of this maelstrom, but in the decision-making process, they're really on the margins and completely outside of the room.
Well, you said there, it seems there's the shadow of the law. I mean, it seems to me the law is smack in the middle of it, like a big monolithic column, because on the one hand, the way the repeal debate was framed, it was framed in terms of, a lot of people, I think, went out there and voted not because they believed they would ever be affected by this, or that they believed they would ever have to make a decision, but they believed it was the right thing. And people had this instinct, I think, that, it was the right thing to allow women who found themselves in that situation every opportunity to make the best choice for them. And I don't think people voted this way thinking that, well, what we'll end up with is the scales of justice in a hospital ward, or the scales of justice in a consulting room. Because one would have thought, first and foremost, what you need in a hospital ward and a consulting room is compassion first and law second. It seems from this report it's very much the other way around.
Yeah, I mean, you're characterising it very well there, actually. I mean, women felt that, their fellow citizens had voted out of compassion, and that their doctors and midwives were showing great compassion, but the place where compassion was not evident was in the law. And the law asks for certainty about fatality, but women were saying, actually, when there's a diagnosis of a very severe life-limiting condition, that really makes the requirement for termination very, very high in their considerations, because they're thinking about what is the quality of life for the child going to be, and what is my capacity as a parent to look after that child, and perhaps the other children that I have already, and the other responsibilities I have. And this is in the context of a state that we know does not support parents caring for children with disabilities very well. We've seen recent documentaries on prime time, for example, where parents were actually saying they felt suicidal because of the demands and the unsupported way in which they were caring for their adolescent child with a disability. So they're incredibly difficult situations, and what women felt was that they were being very much let down by the way in which the law had been framed. So, it seems to me that our legislators need to really carefully read this report.
The other question that ultimately and obviously has got to raise its head is going to be, have there been instances where those clinicians who are involved in those discussions have a moral stance of their own, and that personal moral stance that they hold is, which they are perfectly entitled to hold themselves as individuals, but are those personal moral stances informing their interpretation of the law, and more importantly, informing their interpretation of what they're being told by the woman at the centre of this?
Well, the law and medical ethics do allow for conscientious objection, and, everybody accepts that, there is, and women themselves say they want to be looked after by a committed and willing provider. They don't want somebody who doesn't feel comfortable providing the care involved in the care, because it's not the best scenario for either party. So there is an acceptance by the law and by women themselves seeking care that, clinicians are entitled to have their conscientious position, and there are enough colleagues who are committed providers who can provide the care. In fact, that does raise its kind of head in a different way for women accessing care under 12 weeks, however. So these, the legislation says under 12 weeks, women can access care through their GP without having to give a justification as to the grounds or the reasons why. And what we found was for, about 400, somewhere close to 500 GPs of our population of close to 4,000 GPs provide the service. But some women automatically presumed all GPs provided and self-referred to GPs seeking care. And what we found was when they did that, not all providers followed through on their ethical responsibility or their duty of care under medical ethics. If they're not providers, there is a duty for them to refer a person on for the healthcare they're seeking to a provider, or at least to the My Options information line that the HSE make available that gives information on providers. And we were seeing in that context, doctors were withholding the information, and that delayed women seeking care when time is really of the essence. And in two cases, actually, women were obstructed in accessing the care at all. So I think, under the fatal fetal anomaly assessment, conscientious objection is not really coming into it so much because doctors are stepping out of the room. So it's not coming into the assessment process, would be, my kind of insight on it. But when women are accessing care in the community, it is playing out. And therefore, there needs to be some initiative taken whereby doctors are required to follow through on the duty that is there under the medical ethics guidelines to refer people on to either My Options or a provider.
And we know at the moment as well that there has, particularly since COVID, there's been an issue of people actually making contact with their GPs, and it's increasingly difficult even to get through to the surgery and speak to a receptionist or a nurse, never mind speak to the GP herself or himself. And, for women in this situation, I'm sure this is an issue in many cases that they don't want to. And we all know that GPs, receptionists and GP nurses are extremely professional people who deal with confidential information every day. And I would never want in any way to suggest, even infer in any way, that any medical receptionist or anyone working in a doctor's surgery would be anything less than wholly professional and wholly discreet. But I'm sure women in this situation don't want to discuss the issue with anyone. They want to discuss the issue with their GP. And over COVID, I'm sure in many cases, people just literally have not been able to get their hands on their GP. Dr. Catherine? Oh, I think we may have lost Dr. Catherine there. Apologies for that. If we get Dr. Catherine back, we will put that question to her. But that was Dr. Catherine Conlon, who's an assistant professor of social policy at Trinity College in Dublin. It's 9 till noon on Highland Radio. It's approaching 20 minutes to 10. We're going to take a short break. Back after these.
The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union, offering low-rate car loans with fast approval. Apply online at letterkennycu.ie or in office today.
Dunfanaghy Golf Club on the Wild Atlantic Way. Open week starts the 14th of July through to Sunday the 24th of July 2022. 3-ball better ball, open ladies and gents stroke in Stableford, and the popular 4-ball better ball and classic. Just some of the daily competitions you can enjoy. Hit the fairways, enjoy the crack, then sample the fabulous food served daily at the 19th Hole Bar and Grill. To book, call 074 9136335 or visit dunfanagygolfclub.com.
The smash hit musical 6 is coming to Derry this summer. Divorced, beheaded, live on stage. The 6 wives of Henry VIII take to the mic to tell their side of the story. Don't miss 6 in Derry from the 23rd of August for 1 week only. Book now at millenniumforum.co.uk.
Hi, it's Owen. I can't answer the phone right now. I'm currently enjoying the advanced comfort seats and suspension with progressive hydraulic cushions in my new Citroen C5 Aircross SUV. I'm really enjoying the drive, so please don't leave a message.
With Citroen's advanced comfort technology, you may end up travelling further than you planned. Experience Citroen Comfort, a 5-year warranty and flexible payment options across the range. For more, see citroen.ie.
Citroën. The new Citroen C5 Aircross is now available at your local dealer, Highland Motors, Mountain Top, Letterkenny. For great food in the heart of Letterkenny's Cathedral Quarter, step into Dillon's Hotel. Using only the best local produce, Dillon's serve an extensive menu every day from 12. Perfect for a quick bite, a relaxed lunch or a leisurely dinner. Try the renowned 4-course Sunday lunch with full table service. Or if you work in town, why not pre-order and have your lunch waiting? Great food and service, 7 days a week at Dillon's Hotel Letterkenny, with live music every Friday and Saturday night. Visit dillons-hotel.ie. Business Matters, in association with the Faculty of Business at ATU Donegal.
And the Business Matters section will be broadcast tomorrow on the 9 till noon show on Highland Radio. It's the show, as we said, and we're moving on to our next guest now, and we're joined on Zoom by Philip Watt, who's the CEO of Cystic Fibrosis Ireland. Philip, good morning.
Good morning, Donal.
You will recall, I'm sure, that there was a discussion some weeks ago about the availability of a drug, Kaftrio, to children with cystic fibrosis aged 6 to 11. It's a drug which has proven very successful in trials, and one cohort of children was given access to the drug. A second cohort is awaiting access, but there has been delay in granting that access. Philip, you are particularly concerned about some comments that were made to a Sunday newspaper by the National Centre for Pharmacoeconomics, and you fear perhaps that their perspective may suggest the situation isn't as straightforward as parents would have hoped.
Yeah, I mean, just to emphasise how good these drugs are, how fantastic they are. In 2010, it was estimated people with cystic fibrosis would live to 38 years of age. In 2020, the estimated age for somebody living with CF is 51. That will show you the impact of these drugs over the last 7 or 8 years. They revolutionised CF care in Ireland. They are expensive, but they have had such an amazing impact, very rare for drugs of this sort. So 140 children with cystic fibrosis were given this drug in May, but 35 were told they weren't getting it because of a row between the manufacturer of the drug, Vertex, and the HSE. And we'd hope that, things would be fair and everything else. But the body which actually assesses a drug is called the NCP, National Centre for Pharmacoeconomics. And they have been told that there's likely to be an assessment of this drug by that body. But on Sunday, we were dismayed, to say the least, to see the NCP basically stating very negative comments about funding for CF drugs, and also that, giving no balance to the impact that these drugs have had in terms of life expectancy, in terms of delaying the need for lung transplants. Also, they reduce the need for other very expensive drugs. So they're saving the HSE millions and millions of euros. So we are very concerned that there's a lack of fairness and balance here within the system.
Now, the NCPE ultimately advises, as I understand it, it advises the HSE, and the HSE makes final decisions based presumably on the NCPE's advice, and also, I'm sure, given the real politic of the situation, it'll take into account comments by the Minister and by politicians as well. Now, Minister Donal was asked about this, as I recall, in the Dáil some weeks ago, and his response is, the second cohort will get it, it's just a procedural delay, and there is no question mark over whether they will get it. And Stephen Donnelly seemed to be quite confident and quite sure that it isn't a matter of if, it's a matter of when. You're saying the NCPE may be sort of throwing cold water on his assessment.
Yeah. I think the mask has slipped somewhat. Other people within the approval system don't seem to be as enthusiastic, even before they have carried out an assessment. It's a bit like a judge really saying, I have my doubts about this person before the trial happens. It's like it's that kind of flavour. We wouldn't accept that. So we just want fair play and justice. We're not demanding that the government pays over the odds for these drugs. And to be fair to the drugs company, they've recently reduced the price following, we met with them in Rotterdam and we complained about the price that they were charging. And they reduced it to the price that everybody else is being charged for CF. So why are they delaying the access of these 35 children to this drug? It's a human rights issue, and especially when 140 other children got access to these drugs. And also, the weird thing about this is that if these children were 12 years old, they would get access. Yeah. So the HSE has already recognised how brilliant these drugs are. They're already giving it to the same group of patients who are 12 and over. So it's an absolute farce, really, but it is so upsetting for the parents and the children concerned.
Have you had discussions with Stephen Donnelly? Because it seems, the minister, there's no point in the minister standing up in Dáil Éireann and making, I won't use the word blithe, but because blithe would be unfair, but he was quite confident, he was quite upbeat in his presentation. I'm sure you've seen the clip and you were watching closely when he said it. Yeah. He was quite upbeat. No problem at all, there's nothing to see here. They'll get it, it's coming, it'll be very short, and very shortly, I'm sure, everything is fine. That's the minister's assessment. Now, the contrast between that and what the Sunday newspaper was told by NCPE, is something that has to be bridged, and Stephen Donnelly presumably is going to be a key participant in finding the bridge, to get over that gap.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we've no doubt of the minister's sincerity and also his support for cystic fibrosis, but it's clear that other people within the drug reimbursement system don't share his concern, and he has stated Kaftrio has been a life-changing drug and he wants to see everybody with CF getting access to it. Yet there are other people, the NCP said, we don't have any mortality figures. That's an utter joke. The drug has only been around for 2 years. So with any drug, you wouldn't expect to see mortality figures after 2 years. But all the international studies and studies undertaken in Ireland, including in Crumlin Hospital, have shown that this is an amazing drug. It's like a once-in-a-lifetime type of drug. And as I said, the Cystic Fibrosis Registry report said it has revolutionised CF care in Ireland. So I think the NCP have to wake up and do their homework about this drug and not simply be trashing it, which seems to be the case, before they have the assessment to do it,
What does the NCPE regard as its main purpose? Because on the one hand, it could be presenting itself as an honest broker who gives an assessment as to the benefit of a drug versus the cost, or could it see itself as effectively the devil's advocate whose job it is to play the economic card and put the argument against making drugs available because of what they cost? And the way that's going to be phrased and the way it couches its advice could be very important. Is it an honest broker or is it a devil's advocate?
Well, it should be an honest broker. They have a sort of set kind of pathway in which they measure drugs, both the effectiveness of the drugs and the price of the drugs, and then they give advice to the government. And that should be a purely academic process done fairly and in a balanced way. And in fact, we would normally be invited to give submissions about, what the impact of this drug has been to our patients. But you just wonder, will our submissions be a complete waste of time because the NCP has already made up its mind? They've quite clearly made up their minds. There's a kind of lack of fairness. We've asked for a review of the NCP by the government, and we've also challenged the head of the NCP to public debate to see if his statements hold up. But it's not so much just the statements of the NCP, it's their omissions. There's no acknowledgement whatsoever about the revolutionary impact of these drugs. It's simply, we're paying too much and we don't want to pay any more. Well, I'm sorry, like 35 children can't be made scapegoats for a pricing war between the HSE and the pharma company.
Yeah. Well, we know, for instance, that Paschal Donohoe, the Finance Minister, has the Fiscal Advisory Council overlooking what he's doing in a budgetary way, and we know that they will make their views known before the budget, and we know that they will make regular contributions to government, and they'll make public statements with regards to what they believe the economic focus of government should be. But we also know that Paschal Donohoe is well capable of saying, thanks for what you have to say, lads, but no thanks, I'm going to follow my own pathway because I believe this is the right thing to do. Presumably Stephen Donnelly and the HSC can, and from your point of view, hopefully will take the same attitude that the NCPE is there to advise. The NCPE is not there to make decisions.
Yeah, exactly. And they fortunately, they are not involved in negotiations around the price, but they should keep out of it. That they should be act like, in a legal system where they should keep quiet until they have assessed and then make a formal academic decision. And, there seems to be a lack of acceptance that drugs for rare diseases like cystic fibrosis will cost more. And the European Medicine Agency recognises that. It's called orphan drugs, and they recognise that rarer disease drugs will cost more because more money is spent on research and development, but also there's less patients. It's like economies of scale. So if you have a rare drug, there's only 1,400 people with CF in Ireland. That's all the patients that the company can make money from. So it's inevitable the drugs are going to be more expensive. And I don't think that is really being taken into account. They're just assessing drugs in the same way as any other drug, as an aspirin or anything else. And so it's disconcerting times. Our one hope is the politicians, from their public statements, that they do see the advantage of this drug and they do see the impact it's had on patients. So we would ask them to intervene, and we'd ask not only the Minister but also the Taoiseach. We've written to him, we'd ask him to intervene and to stop this farce, really, which is, they're asking patient groups to believe in a fair and transparent system of assessing drugs, and then the NCP goes on, public record in a Sunday newspaper, basically giving an indication that no belief in this drug, and also that, that we're paying too much for people with cystic fibrosis. Well, we beg to differ in a very strong way.
It's one we'll watch with interest, and I know there are some people in Donegal who are directly affected by this and who are monitoring this debate with interest. Philip Watt, in the meantime, CEO of Cystic Fibrosis Ireland, thanks indeed for speaking to us this morning.
Thanks, Donal.
It's been our pleasure. That's Philip there, the CEO of Cystic Fibrosis Ireland, and you'll have heard that discussed on news in the past as well. If you've any views on that or anything else, as we say, text us 086 60 25,000. You can call us on 074 91 25,000. The text number good for WhatsApp messages as well. Let's look at some of your comments that have been coming in. And earlier we spoke to our caller who had lost a bag in transit from Doha to Letterkenny. A caller says, Donal, my advice is book the cheapest flights you can and get into the bagging area on your way back. Friends of mine did this, and that is how they retrieved their bag. Another friend was flying back from London and had pictures of bags that were missing belonging to her friend and got them. Now, that is... If that's what we're reduced to doing, there is a serious problem in Dublin Airport. Caller effectively saying, book a cheap flight, and then on your way back, that big pile of bags that's over in the corner of the airport, go searching through that pile of bags. Now, I did, in fairness, we did say that's probably where the bag is, because there was a lot of bags in that pile when I was going through the airport. As I say, it was a week ago last Saturday that we were going through the airport en route home from Amsterdam. Another caller says, I can't understand in the modern era that bags are missing on the scale it's happening. Every bag is fitted with a barcode, so surely it should be easy enough to get the bags back to their owners. And under normal circumstances, that is what would happen. What would happen under normal circumstances is, as I understand it, a person's bag would show up, and then it would be scanned, and they would match the scan with the details of the person whose bag it is. And we've all heard stories of people whose bags went missing, and then the bag was couriered by taxi to their hotel, and they had the bag the following day. That isn't happening these days, it seems, and a lot of this is down to the staffing crisis we have, and there's probably so many staff at the airport working to the pin of their collar, just trying to get their own jobs done. And maybe what we have is a situation where there aren't 5 or 6 people in the airport who can actually sit down in that pile of bags and actually go through the backlog. I was speaking to someone who works in another sector today, and they were saying that they have so many people coming through their business that they have a backlog of inquiries building up in the background, to the extent that sort of inquiries that may have come in by email or inquiries which may have come in by phone or even by letter are sitting in a pile, and no one's getting to those inquiries because they have such a stream of sort of face-to-face callers going for the business. And maybe you have a situation where they just need to get 5 or 6 people in there who can actually sit down and go through that backlog. It's the 9 till noon on Highland Radio. It's 3.5 minutes to 10 o'clock. We're going to take a break. News with Emma coming up very shortly.
The award-winning Genesis Aesthetics and Skincare Clinic Udor now offers a wide range of skin boosters. The injectable moisturiser for under eyes that improves dark circles, fine lines and wrinkles. Also treating the face, neck, chest and hands. This amazing treatment works from the inside out, resulting in brighter, smoother, plumper skin. For help choosing the right aesthetic treatment for you, contact Mary Ferry, your aesthetic practitioner. You can download the Genesis app or call 07495 32575.
Beat the cost of Brexit with no customs charges. Do you need a UK address for your limited company or personal use? Space Hub in Derry can provide you with your own mailbox. Have your post and parcels delivered to Space Hub and collect at your convenience. There's brand new 20-foot shipping containers now in stock, ideal for all your storage needs at our Springtown and Coolmore depots. Find us on Facebook at spacehubderry.com or call 04871 878077 for more details.
For big name menswear at great prices, visit Watson Menswear in Letterkenny. Top casual brands including Mishmash, Sixth Sense, Tommy Bow and Penguin. If you're going to a wedding or a big event, formal wear names include Rimassimo, Andre and White Label. Also a great selection of children's casual and formal wear in stock. Watson Menswear, open 7 days a week on Main Street, Letterkenny, and online at watsonmenswear.com.
It's time for a new Nissan 222. We have an award-winning range, so call into iMotors Nissan in Letterkenny or Malin, with the new Nissan Qashqai and Nissan Micra available for immediate delivery.
Do you suffer from high cholesterol, menopause symptoms, digestive issues, anxiety, aches and pains, or a lack of energy? The highly trained team at The Natural Way Letterkenny can provide advice on natural remedies for a number of individual health issues. The Natural Way also has its own brand of herbal treatments to help fight fatigue, relieve digestive discomfort, maintain a healthy immune system and alleviate common menopause symptoms. The Natural Way at Letterkenny Shopping Centre, your one-stop health shop.
Since she got her free hearing aids with her PRSI at Specsavers, Roisin is a changed woman. Music has never sounded better, and that makes her dance. And dance. And dance. Her singing, though, well...
Free hearing aids with PRSI at Specsavers. Music to your ears. Find out more online. Terms and conditions apply.
Hegarty's Auto Body Repairs in Letterkenny have been keeping cars on the road across the northwest for the past 50 years. Hegarty's are the only Ford-approved body shop in the northwest, but repair all makes and models. paintless dent removal, windscreen replacement and restoration work. Hegarty's even mix their own paint. Approved by most insurance companies and certified Steel Standards Ireland. That's Hegarty's Auto Body, Letterkenny. For all vehicle repairs. See hegartys.com.
Mr. Blue Sky, please tell us why. The Euro Millions jackpot is a guaranteed €230 million. Play responsibly in-store, in-app or at lottery.ie. The National Lottery. It could be you.
Live, on air, online and on the Highland Radio app. This is Highland Radio News.
Good morning, it's 10 o'clock. I'm Emma Ryan. The Cathaoirleach of Donegal County Council says it may not be possible to hold face-to-face council meetings without a Garda presence. It's after a special meeting of council was abandoned yesterday evening after a series of adjournments, with Garda called to investigate reports that Councillor Gary Doherty's mobile phone was forcibly taken from him and removed from the venue by another councillor. The meeting was discussing the report of a group of auditors commissioned by the council to carry out an individual assessment to the purchase of 5 houses in Buncrana. Cathaoirleach Councillor Liam Blaney says he'll be asking the Minister to change the law governing how meetings are handled. In the meantime, he says he'll be asking Garda to attend the next meeting.
I'd rather not have Garda present, but unfortunately after we've seen the behaviour we've seen here today, we're going to be making a request, and a very strong request. There has been a request made to Garda before to come here, but they haven't always taken up on that. But I don't think that we're able to meet in person anymore when you see what we're on here today, unless the Garda are involved too. So we're going to look to meet some of the senior Garda in the county within the next couple of days and see what we can do to ensure that the meetings will be held orderly and the carry on we've seen here today will not happen again.
A Donegal woman who lost her baggage 2 weeks ago after a family holiday has been left frustrated due to the lack of communication from Dublin Airport. Linfley flew from Doha to Dublin on June 30th and arrived in Terminal 1 to find that her luggage had been lost. This comes at a time where Dublin Airport has been under increasing pressure due to long delays and cancelled flights. Speaking on today's 9 till noon show, Linfley said it was a frustrating experience.
We started to ring around through the airport where we flew through. So every time we ring them, they will give us a number. You have to ring this number, or we will email them. They will get back to us. But we didn't get any information about our bags and where it is located. So yesterday morning, I ran Doha Airport, and they said the bag is forwarded to Dublin Airport on July 6th. But till today, we didn't get any information from Dublin.
A number of agricultural shows taking place in the coming months across Donegal have been rewarded funding. Each show will attract funding in the region of €5,000 to €6,000, with funding based on vouched expenditure. With more, here's Donna Marie Doherty.
Minister for Agriculture, Food and the Marine and Donegal TD Charlie McConnell today confirmed the announcement of funding to agricultural shows in County Donegal. In total, €700,000 is being provided to support the return of the shows over the coming months nationally. The Finn Valley Show, Inish Owen, Glencolmkill, Mina Cross and Clonmany are among the shows set to receive money in Donegal. Commenting on the announcement, Minister McConnell said agricultural shows are part and parcel of summer life in Donegal, and it is fantastic that they are back in our calendars again this year.
The government is expected to survive a motion of no confidence this evening. The Sinn Féin motion comes as the coalition lost its technical majority last week. With more, here's Sean Defoe.
Sinn Féin's brought this motion saying the government's failed to deal with the crises in the cost of living and on housing, but the government says this is nothing more than pageantry in the final week before the Dáil summer break, and the coalition looks set to comfortably have the numbers despite technically losing its majority last week. Donegal TD Joe McHugh will support them from the opposition benches, saying his issue is with the Micah redress bill and not the government as a whole. Former Fianna Fáil TD Mark McSharry also intends to vote confidence in the government. Independent Michael Lowry's support gives the coalition 82 votes, with 80 a majority.
The PSNI are warning people of traffic disruption across Northern Ireland today as 12th of July demonstrations take place across the region. The main County Derry event is in Limavady, with parades taking place in Derry City before and afterwards. With more, here's Donal Kavanagh.
In Derry, the main morning parade leaves from Clooney in the Waterside at approximately 8 o'clock, proceeding to Bishop Street in the city side via Craigavon Bridge. It returns to Limavady Road for transportation to the Limavady demonstrations. The main evening parade will take place in the city, leaving from Clooney in the Waterside at approximately 5 o'clock and proceeding to Bishop Street via Craigavon Bridge. Drivers should be aware of delays and diversions regarding parades when travelling through the city.
To weather now, mostly cloudy this morning with patchy rain or drizzle, highs of 18 to 20 degrees. That's all for now. We'll be back with the news again at 11 a.m. Until then, good morning. Obituary notices for Tuesday morning, July 12th. The death has taken place of John Breen, Bieg, Malin, and formerly of Gilbertstown, Brooklis. John's remains are reposing at his home from 11 a.m. today. Removal from his home on Thursday at 10:15 a.m. for 11 a.m. Requiem Mass in St Patrick's Church, Aha Clay, Malin, followed by burial in the adjoining graveyard. Family time only please from 11 p.m. to 11 a.m. and family only on the morning of the funeral. The death has taken place of Anne Cassidy, St Oran's Road, Buncrana. Funeral arrangements to be announced later. The interment of ashes of both Seamus and Ethna Boyle of Erity Manor, Cunningham, will take place following the Month's Mind Mass for Seamus Boyle at 1 p.m. tomorrow in St Columba's Church, Drummahall. Interment afterwards to the adjoining graveyard. The death has taken place of PJ Mullen, 28, Cole Hill, Newton, Cunningham. PJ's remains are reposing at his late residence. Funeral from there tomorrow morning at 10:40 a.m. going to All Saints Church, Newton, Cunningham, for 11 a.m. Requiem Mass, which can be viewed live on churchservices.tv. Interment afterwards in the adjoining graveyard. House private to family, close friends and neighbours please. Family time from 11 p.m. until 11 a.m. and on the morning of the funeral. Family flowers only please. Donations in lieu of flowers if desired to the ICU, Letterkenny University Hospital, care of any family member. The death has occurred of Thomas Royal, Bazaar House, Craig, Muff. House strictly private please. Funeral from there today at 10:35 a.m. via the Red Cross, Culmore Road, Derry, for 11 o'clock Requiem Mass at Fernhill Church, Culmore, Derry. Cremation afterwards at Lakeland Crematorium, Cavan. Requiem Mass can be viewed on culmoreparish.com. Family flowers only please. Donations in lieu to the Irish Heart Foundation with links on the Dunleavy Funeral Director's Facebook page. The death has taken place of Helen Black, née Pritchard, Brerefield, Ballinasloe, County Galway, and formerly of Rye, Mulford, and Woodlawn, Ballinasloe, County Galway. Helen will repose at her sister Anne's residence at Bearfield, Ballinasloe, County Galway, this evening from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. Removal tomorrow morning at 11:30 a.m. to St Bernard's Church, Abbey Knockmoy, for Requiem Mass at 12 noon, followed by burial in Abbey Knockmoy Cemetery. Funeral Mass will be live streamed on the Abbey Knockmoy Parish Facebook page. House private please tomorrow morning. Family flowers only please. Donations if desired to the Palliative Care Team, Galway. The death has occurred of Vincent McLaughlin, the curate, the Castles, Isle of Doe, Clonmany. His remains are reposing at his late residence. Funeral from there today at 10:15 a.m. going to St Mary's Church, Clonmany, for Requiem Mass at 11 o'clock, followed by interment in the adjoining cemetery. Family flowers only please. Donations in lieu if desired to St Columkille's Village Centre, Clea, Clonmany, care of any family member or McFilly Funeral Directors. Family time please from 10 p.m. to 10 a.m. Funeral mass can be viewed live on churchservices.tv. The death has taken place of Peter Gallagher, Ballylusky, Carandona. Removal from his home this morning at 10 a.m. to Lakelands Crematorium Cavan for cremation at 2 p.m. For more details, including any family health guidelines for wakes and funerals, please go to highlandradio.com.
Summer Black Tag sale at Curry's. Save €120 on the Samsung 65-inch Smart 4K TV, now $729. And get the HP 14-inch laptop with Intel Core i3, now $519. Save €150. Get in store or online at currys.ie.
The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union, offering low-rate car loans with fast approval. Apply online at letterkennycu.ie or in office today.
This is the 9 till noon show on Highland Radio. It's Donal Kavanagh with you on the programme for the next couple of days. Just a couple of comments that have come through. Caller says, yeah, I've seen the pile of cases for myself in Dublin Airport. They can blame staff shortages, but it's not acceptable. How would it look if you went into a restaurant for a meal and you were told, we can only give you chips due to staff shortages, and that person's idea about getting a cheap flight and see if you can find the case yourself, it's a good one, but it's sad that it has to be done. I mean, it's an ingenious idea if it works, but I mean, yeah, it really is an indictment of the system if the only way you can find your bag is to organise a flight just so you can get yourself into the arrivals department on the way back to look for a bag that somebody else lost. I mean, that is, if there was ever an indictment of a system, that is an indictment. In relation to the Cathaoirleach's comment about not wanting Donegal County Council to turn into a circus, the council's been a circus for years. It's a disgrace. What is the point of having them if we can't depend on them? There are ongoing issues with Donegal County Council, and I think it's fair to say the vast majority of councillors are, I would say all councillors are honestly trying to do the best for their constituents. There are question marks over how some may do so, and yes, there are issues in the council at the moment that do have to be resolved, and hopefully they can be, because I mean, these are very important issues the council is discussing. And so now we're putting young students out onto the streets because Ukrainian refugees are more important. The media likes to tell half the truth and fools no one. I'm always iffy about any debate that tries to couch things as us versus them. This isn't refugees versus students. It isn't a case of if we help them, then we can't help those. It's not that. We are eminently capable of serving everybody's needs. We can help refugees and we can ensure there is adequate student accommodation available. It's not a matter of choosing one over the other. And any debate that couches things in that way is a debate that just isn't looking at the whole totality of a situation, in my view. Yes, there are issues with regards to the provision of accommodation for students, and we've heard it discussed, and we hear it discussed every year. And let's think about it, folks. We all know there is a scrabble for student accommodation every year, and there were scrabbles for student accommodation long before there was ever issues with refugees or issues with COVID or issues with anything else. I mean, you know, my children are both now in their they won't forgive me for saying this, but they're both in their very late 20s, and we went through the whole rigmarole of trying to get student accommodation just like everybody else does, and that was long before we ever heard the phrase Ukrainian refugees. It's an issue that's always there, and we can't just, you know, say, oh, it's all the refugees' fault, because patently it isn't. Now, time for bingo. So if you play Highland Radio NCBI bingo, eyes down, grab your books, grab your pens, and I'll hand you over to Kevin.
It's time for NCBI bingo on Highland Radio.
It's Tuesday the 12th of July. You're playing on a brown coloured sheet. The reference number says 17. It's game number 28. The numbers are 24, 39, 76, 21, 61, 70, 26, 80, 35, and 41. Phone your claim to 9104833 before 8 p.m. tonight, leaving your name, contact number and the name of the shop where you purchased your book. Get all your NCBI Radio Bingo information at highlandradio.com.
New this week in Home Store and More. All living room cushions are half price. That's right, half price. But better hurry, because when all the half price living room cushions are gone, they're gone. Also, all camping is still half price. But when all the half price camping is gone, it's definitely gone. Order online before 2 p.m. for next day delivery, or drop by your local Home Store and More. Home Store and More. A happy home.
Sheridan Security now introducing Zero Wire Smart Alarm Systems. Zero wire, zero mess, and a real peace of mind. With a simple press of a button, your alarm can be set or unset, or download the free app and control it from your phone. Call us today on 074 912 6025 and get your alarm from €299. Stay local, stay safe, and protect what you value most with Sheridan Security Systems.
Don't forget to get your car serviced in iMotors Letterkenny or Malin. Servicing keeps your car efficient and safe. We service Kias, Nissans and all other brands. Call today or book online at imotors.ie.
Treat your garden to a makeover at GMG Stone Letterkenny. We offer great value on decorative stone, garden paving, slabs and artificial grass. All tailored to your needs with home delivery available. We also supply railway sleepers, whiskey barrels and place sand. All available for pickup or delivery. Open Monday to Saturday from 9:30 a.m. to 6 p.m. You will find us beside Donaghy Motorhomes on the Port Road. For an appointment, call 087 647 9121. GMG Stone, just what your garden needs.
The Community Garda information slot is brought to you by Sheridan Security Systems, protecting what you value most. Call today and get your zero wire alarm system from €299. Sheridan Security, 91
And this is the Community Garda slot on Highland Radio. And we're joined in studio this morning by Garda Gráinne Doherty. Gráinne, good morning.
Good morning, Donal.
Sadly, Gráinne, this morning we're starting with a story people will be aware of, and that's a fatal traffic collision that happened on July 5th.
Yeah, so Letterkenny Garda are appealing for information in relation to this. Fatal road traffic collision occurred on the N13, the Newton Cunningham to Letterkenny Road. Happened on Tuesday the 5th of July, and it happened in around 10:50 p.m. on that date, and the collision involved 3 cars. So unfortunately, a man in his early 70s, he was taken from the scene to Letterkenny Hospital, and sadly he was pronounced dead. A man in his 40s was also taken for treatment at Letterkenny Hospital. His injuries are believed to be non-life threatening. So we appeal to anybody who may have witnessed this collision firstly to contact us in Letterkenny. Any road users who were travelling in the area who had a dash cam, we would be grateful if they could make that footage available to Gardaí. Anybody with information can contact us in the Garda station in Letterkenny on 9167 100, or as always the Garda confidential line on 1800 666 111. And just in relation to the dashcam footage, I know we mentioned this before, but you know, it's not a matter of, you don't have to go through the footage yourself. If you were on that stretch of road on that date around that time, you know, just drop the footage into us and we can go through the footage ourselves.
Another road collision, this one in Carndonagh.
Yes, so this one happened in the early hours of Sunday the 10th of July. It happened on the Moville Road, so approximately about a kilometre out of Carndonagh town, heading for Moville. A man was crossing the road. Now it's a very dark stretch of road, poor lighting there. He was struck by a dark coloured car. The car didn't remain at the scene and it travelled onwards towards Carndonagh town. So we appeal to anybody who may have relevant information, who may have witnessed the incident, to contact Gardaí in Buncrana on 932 0540. We also appeal to anybody who had a dash cam who travelled on the Carndonagh to Moville Road between 3:30am and 4am to make that footage available to Gardaí. The nightclub there, the Tulnaree nightclub, would have been on, you know, that night, so possibly we're hopeful that maybe there may have been taxi drivers on that road, and a lot of taxi drivers would have dash cam footage, so we appeal to them also to make the footage available if they were on that stretch of road. The man was removed from the scene by ambulance to receive treatment for non-life threatening injuries, and I believe he's actually still in hospital receiving treatment. And
just to restate, this happened in the early hours of Sunday morning, in around about the 20 to 4 mark.
In around 3:40am, yeah.
To Buncrana now, and a burglary in Ludden.
Yeah, this burglary happened at a house there in Ludden, Buncrana, on Thursday the 7th of July. So it happened between 7:30am and 7:45pm. So it's believed entry may have been gained through an unsecured rear window, and a substantial sum of cash was stolen from the house during the course of the burglary. The house in question is situated along the main road into Buncrana town. You know, when you leave Lisfannon Beach and head into Buncrana town, the house is along the main roadside there on the right hand side. So we appeal to anybody who may have witnessed any suspicious activity in that area on that date to contact us in Buncrana on 074 932 0540.
Going now to Ballybofey, again a burglary, this time in Ashton Court.
Yes, this burglary happened in the early hours of Thursday the 7th of July, so happened between just shortly after midnight and 6:30am, the early hours of Thursday morning. The entry was gained to this house. The back door unfortunately was left unlocked and entry is believed to have been gained through that door. A small sum of cash was taken, a van key, a wallet and a car key also. So the car was a black Hyundai Tucson and the partial reg of that is ASZ. That was stolen from the driveway of the house. The car was then located at about 10:30am that morning and in a forest area, so just outside Ballybofey in an area of Goland. So damage had been caused to the underbody or the underneath of the car. We appeal to residents in Ashton Court firstly to contact Garda if they seen or heard anything, you know, in that area in the early hours of Thursday morning that might help progress the investigation. We appeal to any road users in or around the Ballybofey area who think they may have seen the Hyundai Tucson on the road, or if they had a dash cam and believe that they may have captured it on their dash cam footage again, if they could make that footage available to us. Garda can be contacted in Letterkenny on 9167100 or the Garda confidential line again 1800 666 111.
It seems inevitable that whenever we're having a conversation, we come to scams. And the latest, well, no, not the latest, because this is one that we've had before.
This one has actually been mentioned it was been mentioned a lot. It's been on our Facebook page and on air a couple of times, I believe, over the last number of weeks. But the reason we want to highlight this one again, we've had quite a number of people again confused, you know, and panicky when they receive this email. They panic, they contact us. Unfortunately, we had one member of the public contacted us this week who had fallen victim to this scam and had clicked the link, you know, and total control was taken over that person's laptop then, you know, it was seized up. So we just want to issue the advice again. I'll make it fairly short now. I don't want to go on because I know we do mention it fairly regularly. But this scam, so an individual will receive an email. It claims to be from Garda Síochána, and I've seen the email actually. It actually looks very, very official, you know, and it has the crest, the Garda crest, and looks really official. So it is quite believable. Now, so this scam this email will inform the recipient that they're under investigation, that the investigation is in relation to child pornography, paedophilia, cyber porn, sex trafficking or something similar along those lines. And of course, as always, you know, the shock factor's there. You know, somebody reads this and just automatic panic. You know, panic comes over them maybe and they want to clear the matter up and are tempted to click that link. So we're advising the public, and Garda Síochána will not ever make contact with a person who is under investigation in this manner. You know, you'll never receive an email from Gardaí to say that you're under investigation and what you're under investigation for. That just won't happen. So we would just like to remind the public of the following advice. Don't respond to any unsolicited email seeking personal, financial or security advice. Don't click on a link. And I think this particular one, it's a link that's there. You know, they request that you click on this link. So never click on a link or in an attachment in an unsolicited email. And, you know, if you receive an email, any email or this type of email, contact your local guards, call into the station or ring your local Garda station, explain the situation to them, you know, and they can talk it through with you and advise you. You know, just don't be hasty and don't panic. We just ask anybody, do not click the link and don't provide any sort of personal details.
I mean, the reality is every Garda station, every Garda at this stage has seen that email numerous times and probably seen all the others, the one purporting to come from banks, the one, I mean, and I probably get 2-3 emails a day that I disregard. The number of banks that are questioning me about the accounts that I don't have. I mean, you know, and they do this. They're just, I mean, and I'm sure everyone out there has at some point had, you know, an email purporting to be from the Bank of Ireland, and they're scratching their heads going, but I bank with AIP.
Yeah, and that's it, yeah. But, and do you know what, it's so easy to fall, because I know times myself, no more than you, and you get numerous text messages a week and emails and scam emails, and some of them are so believable, you know. But the danger in relation to this one, I suppose, is that, you know, should somebody vulnerable receive this email, or perhaps even somebody with broken English, you know, they've just moved into the country, they've broken English, they see the Garda logo, it looks very official, they see the police logo at the top, and maybe automatically presume, you know, that that this is an official email, they might click the link. But anybody, we would advise anybody, don't be one bit afraid to ring us or to call into the station, even take a screenshot of the email and take it in and show it to us, and we can put your mind at ease in relation to the matter.
And the reality is now, with access to the internet, with access to Microsoft Word and other documents, a 7-year-old child will, within the space of about 6 minutes, put together a really good-looking email purporting to be from Garda Síochána, because the logos are freely available, the website's freely available. I mean, you know, anyone with access to a computer can put that together in a matter of minutes.
They can, of course, yeah. So the advice is just, look, please don't panic. The panic factor is there, of course, you know, and the wording would make you panic when you read it first off, and I suppose that's the problem. And people are falling victim to this scam and other scams, you know. And I know it sounds repetitive. We're talking about it every couple of weeks at least. We mention scams, but you know, the fact is that we have to do that because people, unfortunately, still are falling victim to them.
Well, hopefully someone will hear this and it'll make them think before clicking something in the future. And if that's the case, then we've done our job. Another issue that we discuss frequently and regularly, and have been doing for years, for as long as I'm working here, 32 years, we've been speaking about bogus callers and people calling to the door, you know, offering to do work or offering to sell things, and it doesn't always end well.
Yeah, and you know, this time of year now, well, hopefully the weather, I was going to say the weather's picking up, but then it's very grey out there today. Hopefully the weather will pick up, but you know, and these people will be out when the weather does pick up. They will be out. They'll be offering to power wash the house, you know, to cut hedges, to do garden work, cut the grass, whatever the case is. But the reason I wanted to highlight this week, we actually received a call from a lady. She lives alone in Moville, and this happened on the 5th of July actually. So 3 men arrived at this lady's house. They commenced work in her garden, started cutting trees and doing landscaping work in her garden. This lady had not requested for these men to come. She hadn't employed them to do this work. So luckily she had a neighbour there who contact was made with the neighbour. The neighbour came over, and the men, you know, they were asking for the amount of €2,000 to complete the work in the garden. So there was 3 men. They had a UK registered white van as a description of the van that they were travelling in. They wanted €2,000 to complete the work, so they were told no, you know, the work's not necessary, we don't want the work done, and nobody had contacted you to come here. But then when that failed, they wanted €200, the sum of €200 for the work that they had already completed while they were there. So they said then that they had obviously had the wrong address, you know, that they had come to the wrong property, you know, all sorts of excuses. But listen, the long story short, the lady didn't pay them any money, and luckily she had somebody there to hand who could come over to give her, you know, give her a bit of moral support and backup when these men were on the property. But so we just want to issue, in light of that, that's a very recent event. That was July 5th, and that was in the Moville area. So bogus callers may offer services, as we mentioned already, such as power washing, painting. They might sell goods. They do prefer to target the more vulnerable and people who live alone, and they have researched this. You know, these people do their research before they call to the houses. So our advice is, don't engage with such callers. You know, don't ever open your door to anybody before you're confident that they are known to you or that they have a genuine reason to be there. A chain lock's a great idea, especially if you live alone. You know, have the chain lock on the door. At least you can open the door a certain amount, see the person, converse with them, but you still have that safety catch there that you can shut the door, you know, and they can't push the door in. So, and these callers can be quite intimidating, and that's possibly why, you know, that they target people who live alone, and they arrive in numbers and groups, you know, and that is very intimidating for anybody. And they often refuse to take no for an answer. They can be very pushy. So our advice is contact Garda immediately, such as this lady did do. Contact us. If you encounter such a caller, give us as much information as you possibly can. You know, take a look out the window, try to get the registration number of their mode of transport, what they're wearing, maybe what sort of accent they had. And if anybody is out and about, just, you know, and just as this neighbour did in this case, you know, just keep an eye out, especially for elderly or more vulnerable neighbours in your community. You know, keep a wee eye out for them. If you see any cars, suspicious cars or vans at their property, maybe call over to check, is everything okay? And we would ask people as well to please pass this advice on to maybe neighbours, relatives or friends who live alone and may be susceptible to such callers. So the main advice, just look, if in doubt, keep them out.
Good advice indeed. Finally, the Float for Hope boat run taking place on July 23rd in Burton Port Harbour. This could be a rather interesting one to attend.
It would, yeah. And you know, funny, when I was doing the notes, I was looking at this. I was sure I was going to get tongue-tied when I said this, so I hope it goes well. Now I'll say it, but the Float for Hope boat run, that went okay, yeah. Absolutely. So it's going to take place on July 23rd. That's all happening down at Burton Port Harbour. So that's a Saturday, 23rd of July. This week's event is based around the topic of water safety awareness. So members from organisations such as the Irish Water Safety, the RNLA, the Donegal Coast Guard, the Swilly Seals, the CFFAM, Ironmore, the Sheephaven Sub-Aqua Club, the Rosses Snorkeling Club, that's only a few now of the organisations. They will be there. They will be demonstrating different types of rescue techniques in the water and also on the pier itself. And, you know, they'll be advising in relation to kayak safety and life jackets, which sort of life jacket should be worn, you know, for different age groups. And they're going to be there all day. Look, and I know there's a boating event then later on in the day. You know, the boats will go out on tour and come back later that evening. But there is going to be a great buzz about Burton Port Pier that day. But they're raising awareness in relation to water safety. There'll be information stands there and demonstrations all day at Burton Port Pier. So the event kicks off at 9 a.m, but it's going to be on all day long at the pier. So we would just, you know, we would advise members of the public, if they're at a loose end that day, you know, to call along. You know, it's a great chance for members of the public to become more aware of water safety. And next week we'll have further information. Next week we'll have a little programme of events so that we can outline next week for people if they wish to go to that.
And I know quite a few of your colleagues are members of Sheephaven and other sub-aqua clubs as well, so there'll be plenty of Garda, I'm sure, in the water on the day as well.
There will, of course, and actually the guards, I don't know, this is the second year actually that this has run. So the first year, I'm not sure, would have been probably before COVID hit, all right, but I know the fire brigade are also there and the guards are intended. So the guards from the Milford district will be there also with an information stand, and they'll be on hand on the day.
And it's an extremely, as you say, it's an extremely important thing. I mean, water tourism, hugely important in Donegal. Participation in the water is a very big part of leisure in the county, and that water safety message, an important one. Grania, as ever, thanks very much indeed for your contribution today.
Thank you, Donal, for having me.
And there'll be another community information slot, of course, from An Garda Síochána on next Tuesday in around about 10:15.
The Community Garda information slot is brought to you by Sheridan Security Systems, protecting what you value most. Call today and get your zero-wire alarm system from €299. Sheridan Security, 91-26025.
With inflation rising, we're all feeling the squeeze. But OnPOS Money can help you take the power back. Start today with our free Money Manager tool for current account holders, helping you track your income and spending, set and stick to budgets, and much more. Ready to take the power back? Visit onpos.com/money manager. OnPOS is authorised by the Minister for Finance to provide payment services and is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland in the provision of such services.
When it comes to searching for a holiday, Atlantic Travel and Letterkenny deal with all the major tour operators from Dublin and Belfast to find you the best deals available. A week in the sun, a cruise, or maybe a short break. Whatever suits, you can book in confidence with Atlantic, knowing your holiday is protected should something go wrong. Take the hassle and worry out of your holiday booking with the award-winning Atlantic Travel, St Oliver Plunkett Road, Letterkenny. For a quote today, see Facebook, visit atlantictravel.ie or call 9126193.
They say you should have your second baby first, because with your second baby, you'll have learned what to do, what not to do, what's best for baby and best for you. Like the Loopy Loo range from Lidl. Everything your baby needs, including award-winning nappies from only 99¢. When you know what to do, Loopy Loo. Available exclusively at Lidl. More for you. See our full range at lidl.ie/Loopy Loo.
Your specialty is quality tiles, bathroom suites and wooden floors. Who has the best range of tiles in Donegal?
Crawford Tiles.
The best wood flooring?
Crawford Tiles.
The best bathroom suites?
Crawford Tiles.
5-day bathroom refits?
Crawford Tiles.
And who's been tampering with my questions?
That'd be me.
Crawford Tiles, Castlefin. That'd be them. 07491 43942.
The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union, with monster loans available up to €60,000 for all occasions. Visit letterkennycu.ie.
Earlier I referenced the fact that several Irish people could become millionaires later tonight with the Euro Millions jackpot sitting at 230 million, the highest ever total since it was launched in 2004. So far, 17 Irish ticket holders have won the jackpot. Now, Sarah Orr of the National Lottery says if the top prize isn't won tonight, over 20 million will filter down to the next tier of winners. Now, our question to you is, should there be a cap on the amount that can be won? Have your say by texting in or interacting with our social media. Right, it's time for music at 26 minutes to 11 o'clock. A lot of talk about Elvis Presley at the moment with the big film. But speaking of Elvis, here's the other one.
tricks to get your kicks at 6 to 6. It thinks of all the lips that it licks and all the girls that it's going to fix. She gave a little flirt, gave herself a little cuddle, but there's no place here for the miniskirt waddle. Capital punishment, she is last year's model. They're calling Natasha when she looks like Elsa. I don't want to go to Chelsea. Oh no, it does not move me, even though I've seen the movie. I don't want to check your pulse. I don't want nobody else. I don't want to go to Chelsea. Everybody's got new orders. Be a nice girl and kiss the waters. Now the teacher is away. All the kids begin to play. Men come screaming, dressed in white coat, shake you very gently by the throat. One's named Gus, one's named Alfie. I don't want to go to Chelsea. Oh no, it does not move me, even though I've seen the movie. I don't want to check your pulse. I don't want nobody else. I don't want to go to Chelsea.
This year's model was the album Elvis Costello, I Don't Want to Go to Chelsea. Now, earlier we heard from Professor Carl in Trinity College with regards to that survey of the experience of women who are seeking abortions, particularly in terms of fatal fetal anomalies. And we heard the views of the professor, and of course Kitty Holland's article is on the front of today's Irish Times. Joined on the line by Mary T. Sweeney, who is a local representative from Enthu and a member of Donegal Pro-Life. Mary T., good morning.
Good morning, Donal. Good morning, listeners.
You'll have heard what Professor Carl has had to say, and you'll have read, I'm sure, Kitty Holland's article on the Irish Times as well. Your response to it?
The reality is, Donal, I didn't hear the interview this morning. I was actually doing something and I didn't get a chance to hear it, but I got several phone calls from people that were very upset about it from around the county. And the reality is that for the HSE to come out now to try and dictate that there are not enough babies being killed in Ireland is just ridiculous. There's no mention of support for the mothers that have babies. There's no mention of support for the people with children that are disabled. And there's no mention of support and financial aid and carer support for the mothers that have a pregnancy where they are told that they will have a baby that's going to have a fetal condition that's going to lead to disability of some condition. Did she mention baby Christopher in Cork? The parents were told the baby had a fatal abnormality, and the baby, when it was born, was perfectly healthy. That happened in 2019, and there's never been a proper report by the HSE onto how that happened. And more disturbing, again, is that report, when the parents took a court case and sued, the government actually paid the parents, not the private clinic in Dublin that they got the reports from. Another issue of grave importance is those parents, apparently, it's alleged in the newspaper reports of the time, that the test was sent off to another independent hospital in Glasgow, which also dictated that the baby had trisomy in baby Christopher's case, had trisomy 18 Edward syndrome, and that came back saying the baby was positive. That was 2 tests. The private clinic in Dublin told those parents had confirmed the baby had Edward syndrome, and both those tests were wrong. When the baby was killed and the body was examined, the baby did not have anything wrong with it. So we need to be very careful on who's, just because a doctor is on doesn't mean that she is the superior knowledge of
now,
all.
in fairness, the professor didn't put herself
doctors
forward. Now, I have to say that Professor Carroll didn't put herself forward as a doctor. She's a professor in social care, and that's the context. And in fairness, that's the context she did the study in. That's the context she spoke in. She is not, and importantly, never claimed to be a medical professional.
Okay, well, I would have loved the opportunity to talk to somebody involved in social care in a lecturing capacity to tell her about the reality of parents of disabled children around the county, whether it's smaller, lesser disabilities, in particular, related back to the case of the girl with the girl with epilepsy that was refused to allow to reset the leaving cert. Her disability, another disability. Where does disability stop when you're going to start aborting babies because of disability? You know, can we hand pick and hand rear these children? It's so gravely wrong what she's promoting. And remember, 90% of doctors in Ireland have not agreed with promoting abortion in their surgeries. You know, so where's the support for mothers? Where's the financial aid? Where's the caring support and home support to help mothers with people with disabilities?
The argument
if she's from that department, I would expect her to be there at the forefront to balance her argument with the people that choose to keep their babies. Where's the support for those people who choose to keep their babies?
In fairness, I do have to say she did point out that many women will choose to keep babies, and she pointed out that the level of supports are not what they should be, and that the level of supports available for disabilities and for other areas of need in this country are less than would be desirable. So I think, in fairness to her, all that was acknowledged. The focus of this report is specifically on the issue of fetal anomalies. And I mean, the case of baby Christopher, obviously that is a case, but the argument is going to be that case, sadly, is the outlier. The norm is that, you know, an examination afterwards is not going to show that the baby was viable. The norm is that an examination afterwards is going to show that the prognosis was correct.
No, Donal, you must remember, this must be mentioned again and again and again. It is not infallible, the process of diagnosing if a baby has a fetal abnormality. There were other children since the referendum in 2018 that are in the same position. I don't have all the facts to hand because of the short notice of this interview this morning, but I think it's so important that you bring on people from Every Life Matters, the support groups for women, Donegal Pro-Life. If anybody's stuck, we will try and put you in contact with the right people to give you support. Any of the members of AIM2 around the county will help get you find support if somebody is out there that is pregnant and that has been given a diagnosis. One mother that has been with me recently was given a very traumatic time by doctors in Dublin trying to force her to abort her baby because her baby has cystic fibrosis. This is not acceptable. We need to offer support and real options of choice for these parents who choose to keep their babies. I just wish some of the young mothers, but a lot of them that I have met are young, and I've asked them to go public and they're not prepared to do it at this time, perhaps someday, but they need support.
You spoke there about doctors trying to force mothers to have babies. Now, the issue that's being raised in this particular survey is, in many cases, quite the opposite, that it's speaking about women having difficulty having access to abortion because of the legal discussions and because of the debate and because of the unwillingness of the medical professionals to just offer it without considering legal implications and moral implications first.
Sorry, I didn't, if I did say it, I didn't intend to say that doctors forcing women to have babies. I didn't say that. It's to give them choices to have their babies. Women deserve the choice.
The phrase you used was doctors forcing women to have abortions.
I beg your pardon, that I meant forcing women, weighing against women to try and well, this woman, that's the way she expressed it to me. One mother I spoke to, she said she was being pressurised by the doctors in Dublin that there was no point in keeping this pregnancy, that she would have to terminate and kill the baby. They didn't use the word kill, I'm using the word kill. You know, that's the reality of what this mother has told me, and I have no reason to disbelieve her. That's her. that they can also keep their babies, even with a diagnosis of disability, if that's what they choose to do. And we also need to make sure that there's support in place for the parents of children with disabilities. And the spectrum of disabilities is wide in its range. They're not fatal. They're not all fetal abnormalities. And none of us are beyond knowing when our last day is going to come on this earth, no matter what we have or what our condition is at the moment. It's very important. There's not enough being done for women to have their babies, to keep their babies, and to give them support when there is difficulties and the child is born with a disability. And that's the message I need to talk to that lady, that person about, because she's giving one side of an argument which is not objective.
Mary T. Sweeney, local Aintree representative and a member of Donegal Pro-Life. Thanks indeed for that, and your offers of help, obviously, to anyone who needs it. They can contact you or somebody else involved with Aintree, Donegal Pro-Life or whatever, and that help will be made available, and that advice from your own point of view as well, and your point of view, an important one, and that needs to be heard too. Mary T., thank you.
Donal, thank you so much. Okay, goodbye.
Bye. That's Mary T. Sweeney there of Aintree and Donegal Pro-Life. Just a few more comments about yesterday's Donegal County Council meeting in the Ora Leisure Centre. Cora says, disgraceful scenes at the Ora. How is it tolerated? They would want to reflect on their behaviour, and those who vote for them would need to reconsider if they want the council to operate or not. We heard the Cathaoirleach councillor Liam Blaney suggest this morning that if the council is to meet in person in the future, it may have to do so with Garda present because of the current atmosphere. Cora says, look, there's not enough guards to be present at council meetings. What have we come to? So asks the caller. Caller says, I want to say a big thank you to all the Carndonagh traders and all who helped make the 4-day music festival in Carn a great success, great time had by all age groups, and it was a very successful event by all accounts. Caller says, 3 beautiful 20-year-old deciduous trees cut down at Ballyrain School last week to make way for a car park. We're going backwards instead of forwards regarding climate change. They're supposed to be planting trees instead of cutting them down to make way for cars. Another caller says, lights on every day for maybe over a year, I know, because I live beside them. That's an issue that was discussed by Greg on the programme yesterday. We're going to take a short break. Back in a moment to discuss the AIB mobile bank service, a very important service for very many people.
For all your pharmacy needs and healthcare advice at this time, McGee's Chemist in Letterkenny are here to help. Things may be a bit different right now, but you can always rely on McGee's. Prescriptions can be ordered over the phone or online at mcgees.ie, and you'll be contacted when it's ready for collection. McGee's Chemist, Main Street, Letterkenny, and at mcgees.ie. Here to help with your health and well-being.
Beat the cost of Brexit with no customs charges. Do you need a UK address for your limited company or personal use? Space Hub in Derry can provide you with your own mailbox. Have your post and parcels delivered to Space Hub and collect at your convenience. There's brand new 20-foot shipping containers now in stock, ideal for all your storage needs at our Springtown and Coolmore depots. Find us on Facebook at spacehubderry.com or call 04871 878077 for more details.
This summer, make some magical memories with family and friends at the Northwest's biggest adventure water park and inflatable assault course at the Shorefront Maville with Inish Adventures. There's a whole world of fun waiting for you this summer. Kayaking, paddleboarding, banana boating, storm rides, sailing. Perfect for birthday parties, hen or stag parties, or a great family day out. Plus a cafe on site. For more details, call Inish Adventures Mobile or online at inishadventures.com.
Know how to be safe in the water this summer. Know about rip currents and unexpected depths. Know to only swim between the flags at lifeguarded waterways. Never know what it feels like to wish you did. This is Water Safety Ireland. Better safe than sorry. For advice, visit watersafety.ie. Supported by the Government of Ireland.
The 9 till noon show with Letterkenny Credit Union, now offering MyCU current account and debit MasterCard, bringing full banking features, delivered with the same local trustworthy service of your credit union.
Let's talk about the mobile bank service, because for many people in rural areas it is a very important service to them. The AIB mobile bank service is meant to arrive in the Falcarra area on a Monday. A number of people, as always, were out waiting for it to arrive yesterday so they could avail of its services. But they were left waiting and the mobile bank did not show. We're joined on the line by Peter, who is one of those who found themselves without services yesterday. Peter, good morning.
Good morning. Yes, I find it as a starting to kind of occur now on a regular basis, if that could be said, because in the last 4 weeks it hasn't appeared twice. So yesterday I just thought, is the rest of the county having the same problem that we're having here in Falcara, the bank that doesn't show? So I thought I would contact yourselves and just to put it out there in the community and see what the rest of the rural Donegal having the same issues with our bank.
Have you contacted AIB yourself?
Well, you have contacted AIB and they do come up with numerous reasons why it hasn't come. Some of them, I don't know, would you believe them or not? I don't know. I think some of them are a wee bit.
Well, now we can't question the bona fides of any response we may or not be given. Now we have contacted AIB ourselves and we're awaiting a response from them. So we might get some light on the situation. But I think in fairness, if they have given you a response, I think until there is evidence to the contrary, we really do need to take that at face value, Peter. It's an important one. It's an important one for you. Now, the banks and all the banks, AIB know by no means on their own on this, but all the banks are basically saying, look, we would prefer it if people used our online services and if people did their banking online. But you're making the point that not everybody can. Hello, Peter. Right. Well, I'm afraid we appear to have lost Peter. Just a few little quirks on our phone lines. I do apologise for that. The point Peter making a very important one. Mobile bank service important to many people, and if you're having issues in your area with your mobile bank, please let us know. In the meantime, we've made contact with AIB and we're awaiting a response from them. Right, let's change tack because I am going to go to a guest in studio. So delighted to welcome Hugh Friel into studio. Hugh, well known to any listeners to this show and those who consume any media in Donegal. Hugh's the Men's Development and Health Worker with the Donegal Travellers Project. Hugh, good morning.
Good morning, Donal. How are you?
Very well indeed, thank you. Hugh, it's Traveller Pride Week, and I had the pleasure of talking to you last year, I think, during Traveller Pride Week as well. And, it's a week where you're putting yourselves forward and saying very much still here, still proud.
Yeah, we are, Donald, and I think we've... I explained to you last year, during COVID and the pandemic, that we went out, myself and Clive Wasson, the photographer, and we went through the whole county of Donegal and we collected a collection of photographs of travellers in the pandemic, the traveller community in the pandemic. I'd like to take this opportunity to thank all the members of the traveller community who participated in that. And out of that, we developed a booklet, Still Here, Still Proud. And we launched it a number of months ago. It's in the museum now at the minute. The photographs exhibition's in the museum, and it's there to the end of July. So I'm encouraging people just to drop in, to look at the exhibition, to look at the photographs, and look at the kind of inequalities too within the photographs at the time of the pandemic, that where travellers are facing loads of inequalities in terms of water and in terms of sanitation and toilets, that we all weren't privileged with space in terms of the pandemic.
And this very much being presented as part of the Argyll Arts Festival as well, and a very important part of that, because the Arts Festival is to reflect the experience of the community, and the travelling community very much part of that community.
And I think so, Donald. Yeah, and we've come a long way in terms of our culture, in terms of celebrating and being proud of who we are and proud of our identity, and even to have it in the Argyll Arts Festival programme. It's a privilege to have it there in terms of us celebrating our culture, because I think we're at a prevalent moment in the time of our culture where it's very difficult for young travellers to recognise and identify with the traveller community, because a lot of our traditions and trades has been taken away from the traveller community. And where I grew up, where I seen my father go on the scrap and different initiatives where, the cultural norm was around our family of horses, and all that traditional mechanisms was in place for me as a young traveller man. A lot of young travellers don't experience that because they're, I suppose, integrated into the settled community, and there's nothing wrong with that in terms of living in housing estates, and there's nothing wrong with your accommodation. The issue is that systemic racism puts you in a place where you want to be a settled person, because as a young traveller you're kind of isolated, you're kind of driven into that kind of form, and where these photographs kind of celebrate and they're part of history and have been a historic moment for us, is that the young travellers will identify with them as well, in terms of travellers are out there who are very proud of their identity, and it showcases there's nothing wrong of being a member of the traveller community. So no travellers should think there's anything wrong with that. It's because the systemic racism and inequalities that travellers face in Irish society that that make us the suicide rate 7 times higher. The mental health issues is exaggerated through the roof in terms of the traveller community. So we've loads of issues in terms of our not our own community having issues, but the wider contents of systemic racism that happens. But the fact is that this celebration of culture, Tom O'Donnell coming, who's the tinsmith on Thursday, he'll be there from 2 to 3:30, from 3:30 to 5 o'clock, and he's only one of 2 tinsmiths who has this trade and tradition and cultural aspect to it, which is fantastic to watch the tin pandies, to watch the buckets making that used to have a sole purpose. A trade years ago when travellers used to travel the country for farmers fixing buckets and all. So a lot of the older generation will know what I'm talking about the tin pandies, the buckets, the jugs, the milk jugs and all, made from tin, made from scratch, made from a sheet of tin, waterproof, amazing to watch. And I would encourage people to come down and look at this trade, because it's a day in the era of for the whole society.
And one of the real tragedies in many senses is that trade was celebrated by a name that in previous times the travelling community carried with pride. That name has now effectively become a racial slur, a name that celebrated that work with tin.
Yeah, and a tinker used to be the word, I suppose, throughout the community, that the tinkers was coming, and it wasn't a derogative term at that stage. It was a really pleasant name to have in terms of being a tinker, and it was associated with work and tin and having a skill and being part of a wider community. I'm not saying that things was fantastic back in the 50s or 40s or 30s or 60s, but what I'm saying to you is that the tinkers who travelled the country were proud of being a tinker. Now that has certainly turned on its head, Donal, in terms of the derogative term and it being associated with knackers or associated with different terminology of the traveller community, which was really offences, like the word itinerant. That's a really offensive word to travellers. That was a government practical word that was put on the traveller community. So I think a lot of people would get that in the sense of the LGBT. Q would get that in terms of reclaiming names, and so we were claiming like Minker as traveller. We're claiming names again in terms of our community. So it's a building and showcasing and informing and building relationships with the wider communities as well. And I think a lot of the wider community have never met a traveller, engaged with the traveller community, and or might have one negative experience. I had loads of negative experience with settled people. Doesn't mean to say that I bring that negative theme to you and blame you for somebody else's action. So I think we're in a place, and traveller pride throughout the whole of Ireland celebrates travellers, traveller culture, traveller identity, and the existence of my community.
Do young traveller men have an identity crisis? Because, as you've said, on the one hand, that there is a tradition that for many young traveller men, they haven't experienced directly like you had a chance to when you were a child. So they find themselves hankering after an identity that perhaps they don't understand, while finding themselves in a situation within a settled community that rejects them, and they don't feel they belong there, and essentially they find themselves lost, not belonging anywhere and not quite knowing who they are.
Yeah, no, I agree with that, Donal. I think that's where we're, Donegal Travellers Project and traveller organisations around the whole country of Ireland, we're there and we run specific programmes for young travellers. Martin Mongan, who's the involved coordinator in Letterkenny, who runs young youth groups all the time in our project. And I think the spaces that we create, the traveller-only spaces in terms of travellers coming together and where they feel comfortable. And certainly, yes, young travellers are struggling. Not all young travellers, but some young travellers are really, really struggling in terms of your identity, in terms of who you are, in terms of how you manage that. I suppose in both worlds, and it's very, very difficult. I can understand from anybody's perspective of it's easier to go to school and not be a traveller. It is very difficult to go to school being a traveller, because the low expectations of the systemic racism that's embedded in the walls and the education systems within the schools, the low expectations of the traveller community within the education system. So we have a collage of stuff there that's happening. And I think that, as travellers, I'm a very proud member of the traveller community. So is my wife, so is all my children. We're from Ballyar. Everybody knows us as the traveller community. I would never deny I'm a traveller. And I think, I feel that in itself, when you're at peace with yourself, the rest will follow.
You'll have heard Senator Eileen Flynn's comments today that she said every time the phone rings late at night and it's a family member, she's worried because she's afraid it's going to be bad news. Traveller women 7 times more likely to die by suicide than women in the general population. Traveller men 6 times more likely to die by suicide. I mean, as the health worker within the travelling community in Donegal, their figures I know you'll be well familiar with, well aware of, and I'm sure you, your family and your friends have been touched by them.
We have certainly, Donal, and I think, there's not a member of the traveller community who hasn't been touched by suicide or mental health throughout the island of Ireland. I think we're in a pandemic ourselves in our community in terms of mental health and suicide. And I think that, this government take action. I sit in the National Traveller Mental Health Network, where we've met a number of leaders within different parties. We're waiting on a meeting with Micheál Martin. They need to take direct action in terms of a strategy. There's a number of strategies there. There's loads of literature on and research done in my community. The fact is that these booklets, these strategies, these research is sitting on shelves, and action is not being taken on the ground. There's millions and millions put into travellers' mental health, accommodation, education, and different formations, and the results is little to none. The traveller organisations is inundated with the traveller community in terms of what we can do. We're not practitioners in the sense of mental health. We're not counsellors. We're not psychiatrists. And we're trying to fill the shoes, I suppose, and do our living best in terms of crisis interventions of what's happened in the community. Homelessness in Donegal at the minute, it's really a joke. Our counsellors need to stand up and take recognition that we need independent living centres where people who are addiction service and mental health need solid accommodation. The council staff themselves are struggling with this at the minute. Young travellers out there and traveller men and traveller women can't get accommodation because of discrimination. So I think that needs to all change, but that's another day for another discussion. And I do believe that
Can I ask you to stay with me? I want to take the news with Emma. She's standing by, and I don't want to rush the end of this conversation.
Okay.
Do you mind if I just ask you to hold tight
no problem,
with me?
No problem.
I'm going to go over to Emma in the newsroom and then get back to you. The time is just gone, 11 o'clock. Time for the headlines, and we'll say good morning to Emma Ryan.
Thanks, Donal. Good morning. Garda and Karen Dunner are investigating after a man was struck by a car in a hit and run incident. A man was crossing the Maville Road on Sunday, July 10th at approximately 3:40 a.m. when he was struck by a dark coloured car. The car did not remain at the scene but instead travelled onwards in the direction of Karen Dunner. The man was removed from the scene by ambulance to receive treatment for non-life-threatening injuries. The Northern Ireland Fire Service attended 35 bonfire-related incidents last night. Fire crews responded to 98 operational incidents during that time. Over 1/3 of those were bonfire-related incidents. Meanwhile, the PSNI are warning people of traffic disruption across Northern Ireland today as 12th of July demonstrations take place across the region. The main County Derry event is in Limavady, with parades taking place in Derry City before and after. A Donegal woman who lost her baggage 2 weeks ago after a family holiday has been left frustrated after the lack of communication from Dublin Airport. Linfey flew from Doha to Dublin on June 30th and arrived in Terminal 1 to find that her baggage has been lost. The baggage has still not been returned, and this comes at a time where Dublin Airport has come under extreme pressure due to long delays and cancelled flights. The Taoiseach says the current increase of COVID-19 cases is likely to hit hospital settings hardest. It comes as over 1,000 people are being treated for the virus in hospitals nationwide for the second day. Micheál Martin says the upsurge in cases within these settings has contributed to long wait time patients are facing. And finally, Garda and Buncrana are investigating after a substantial sum of money was stolen from a house in the Ludden area of Buncrana. The burglary occurred on Thursday, July 7th between the hours of 7:30 and 7:45. It's believed that entry may have been gained to the property through an unsecured rear window and a substantial sum of cash was stolen. That's the headlines, and we'll be back with more news again at 12 noon. Until then...
The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union, offering low-rate car loans with fast approval. Apply online at letterkennycu.ie or in office today.
It's the final hour of the 9 till noon show on Tuesday morning, July the 12th. In studio is Hugh Friel, who is with the Donegal Travellers Project. He's the Men's Development and Health Worker, and celebrating Traveller Pride Week. We've also been speaking about the mental health issues that the travelling community are experiencing, and Senator Eileen Flynn's comments this morning, a very stark reminder of what those experiences are. A caller has just made contact, and they've said, look, there is systemic racism against travellers and a high suicide rate, but what about the discrimination within the traveller community, particularly of gay men?
Yeah, and look, I think that, 20 years ago, and I suppose 22 years ago, 23 years ago, when I started out, and I started actually over here in Travart in the training centre around arts and crafts. And I never actually met a gay man until about 10 years ago from the traveller community. And I think it was a very hard place to be in my community, to be gay or bisexual or, from the LGBT community. But I do think that it was a taboo. It was a very bad place for a person to be, I suppose, to be gay within the traveller community, and a very awkward place in terms of the family contents and all. I think travellers now are in a lot better place than they were 10 or 15 years ago around this. And I think as a society, we have probably moved on. We haven't, I suppose, fixed everything in relation to equality for LGBTQ, but as a society, we didn't want that part of being gay within the content, if you look at the contents of it. And I think the traveller community was no more disengaged from that in terms of the societal community, was the same perspective. And I think between information and dialogue and celebration of LGBTQ within the society and within the traveller community, if you look at, like, we run Travel Pride days in the Travel Pride Week, LGBTQ is celebrated within that. And I agree with the caller. I'm saying that, information out there around equality of LGBT, it should be celebrated. It's not something that is taboo and should be kept in the closet, as the old word says, come out of the closet or whatever. It's around celebrating that diversity within the community as well.
Caller says, we'll go back to our discussion earlier about the work of the tinsmiths and the work they used to. Caller says, oh my God, I feel so old. My father had a farm. I remember the tins being made, my dad welcoming the men coming, and they made them in front of us, and our parents fed them before they left. I have tears in my eyes. It was a lovely memory. And sadly, in most cases, it is now a memory.
In most cases, it's a memory, Donal, and I remember growing up and doing that, and, what's my father and other members of the traveller community, and it's a sad reflection, I think, of society as well, where we've lost a fabulous, a tremendous tradition of tinsmithing. That's something that we can never reinvent again. It's like a lost, a dinosaur in one sense. that these kind of things that we celebrate and hold on to can't be reenacted again. No more than the photograph exhibition. Yeah. We can never take them photos again, because they're in a time where every member of society lost 2 years of their lives due to the pandemic, due to the restrictions, due to COVID. People suffered mental health issues, isolation, all them stuff and inequalities that happened, and certainly for more disadvantaged groups, they were even worse. And I think Traveller Pride celebrates that, but the diversity within the Traveller Pride Week throughout the whole Ireland is around LGBT, is around identity, is around being proud of who you are. So them come under all the contents. But with your caller, I fond memories, going to door with my father with the horse and cart, selling, pegs and selling covers and, all that stuff, and being brought in for tea and being fed. As the caller says, and I think they're fantastic memories that I'll take to the grave with me, that you can never redo them again. You can never be in that place or that time or that spot again in terms of doing that moment.
The sad reality is now, if anyone has a bucket that needs repairing, that bucket's getting dumped and a new plastic one is being bought in Tesco. That's the reality.
That's it. And I think I would encourage people to come down to see Tom O'Donnell, because it is fabulous to watch. He will have tins there that you can purchase as well, tin panties, milk jars, coal scooters, all that stuff. And he's a fantastic man. He's a like an idol. He's a role model within the community. I know Tom quite well, and what a gentleman. And to even have the skill, even to watch him, is fantastic.
So Tom is there in the Donegal County Museum in Letterkenny. And that's between 2 and 5 on Thursday. And the photographic exhibition that the photographs taken by Clive Wasson with input from yourself in terms of production, that's showing all the way through July now in the County Museum as well, and that's all sort of part of the Irregular Arts Festival. Just want to share a couple of the comments that have been coming through. Hugh, thanks for the trip down memory lane. Coming from a farming family, my parents would have availed of the great talents of the travelling families making tin cans and fixing buckets. Mother gave them their dinner, same as we got ourselves, especially gifted people. And Caller says, like all communities, we have good and bad. The travelling community are only given bad publicity and less so of the good. Just this week we saw a member of the travelling community pass out as a member of An Garda Síochána. We need to see more of this. And it's a strange one because you do occasionally get these sort of stories in the news. The first traveller Garda, the first traveller priest, indeed your own son, one of the first travellers to graduate from college, and it was great to see that. And really, I suppose what we want to get is a situation where we're not talking about the first anything, we're just talking about there's a traveller priest, there's a traveller Garda, and it's as normal as a traveller working on a construction site or a traveller working anywhere else.
I think you're right, Donal. I think that's where the relationships is going to change and where society is going to change if we have more of my community employed in different sectors of society. And because systemic racism, and when I talk about that, and systemic discrimination, is 83 or 84% of travellers are unemployed. That's fact. Right? People will say that travellers are social welfare spongers, this, that, and none. The fact of the matter is, if you look at the research that was done there recently 2 years ago, they said over 80% of employers said they wouldn't employ a traveller, for starters. So the biggest employer throughout Ireland is traveller organisations, right? So if we look to our state, the county of Donegal, and I've said this a number of times, Donegal County Council, Social Welfare, ETB, we have no travellers employed within them sectors. And this is very daunting to me because there's loads of travellers in Donegal with qualifications, with who are job ready, who can't get apprenticeships, who can't get in their foot in the door in terms of employment. So therefore, we're not going to change society's view on travellers if we can't get employment, we can't get the proper education. So I believe that, like David, my son, has gone on to do a PhD there. He's the first traveller to do that in the whole CH Area 1. But there should be more travellers like David. David shouldn't be a unique or a role model. That Garda member who passed as a Garda member, there is other members in the Garda force who are travellers. We have one or two in Donegal, we have one on Sligo, but they don't recognise as travellers because of the systemic racism. It's easier, as I said, sometimes to get on as being a settled person, not let people know that you're a traveller. I remember a young man who worked in a retail store in Letterkenny, and the time of Peter Casey, I'll tell you a story, and he rang me one night and he said to me, Hughie, could you give me a lift? I need a lift home, I've no lift home. I said, well, I'll collect you. I was after finishing the men's group, I collected him. He got into the car and he started busting out crying. And I said to him, Jesus, what's wrong with you? And I pulled in the car and I said, what's wrong? And he said, I can't take it no more, I can't take it no more. And I said, what's going on? And he told me the facts of the story. At the time of Peter Casey, the staff in the room, the way he was sitting there, he said, and the way they were calling knackers and gypsies and that, all this derogative language and the way they spoke about travellers, he said, and he didn't want to identify as a traveller. And I can accept that. I'm not here to judge any traveller who doesn't identify as a traveller. I think they have their own right to do that if they're in a space where they think that's makes it easier for them. But I think society has painted that picture for us. But
and in a sense, we're coming full circle because it now comes back to the identity crisis that we spoke about earlier. This is a young man who, and what's even worse, did he almost find himself having to nod in agreement, and effectively denounce his own people, denounce his own self?
He did. He said to me he never spoke up. He sat there, he said, I never spoke up. I never reacted to the comments that was being made. But the problem was with society, if we talk about any other ethnic group in society, and we talk about, Donal, if we talk about lone parents, if we talk about people with disabilities, the things that's said in Irish society about travellers, even by the media. I remember Pat Kenny one night on the election of the presidential campaign, and the predecessors was there. Peter Casey was one of them. And they was doing a debate, and he asked them a question: would you live beside a member of the travelling community? In society, for somebody to even say that, paints the picture that there's something wrong with travellers. Would you get away with that saying about a disabled person, an ethnic minority group, lone parents? You would never get away with something like that. But an Irish society is acceptable. The standards around the derogative speech around travellers is accepted because we're members of the travelling community. That's okay. But that's the contributing factors why a lot of members of the travelling community is committing suicide. We had 4 children who committed suicide in the last month. Children, 10 to 12 years of age in Ireland. Traveller children. We're dying by suicide every day of the week. The mental health issues has gone through the roof. People will say, employment rate, education disadvantage. Education is power. Education is your life, your stairway to employment, your stairway to having a purpose within society. And if you haven't got an education, you're more likely to, end up with addiction issues, end up in, prison. We are overpopulated by the prisons in Ireland by the traveller community. Why is that? If you look at the Aboriginal community in Australia, the prisons is overpopulation. If you look at the black American programs that's portrayed of prisons in America, who you most dominantly see as young black males. Why is that? Because they're disadvantaged, their education and attainment is not preferred option for them. They endure racism, they endure discrimination. So travellers, my point is, travellers are not unique in that, Donal. And I think some people think in Irish society that we're a clone unto ourselves and we've done that to ourselves. No, we haven't done that to ourselves. If you look and research the other ethnic minority groups throughout the world, the Native Americans, this is prominent. This is how systemic racism filters down from the walls of Parliament. That's how it works. The disadvantaged group become less educated, not job ready. Health statistics gone through the roof, overpopulated in the prisons, suicide rate through the roof. So we're not no different. It is the fact that these all the contributing factors, as Eileen said, waiting for that knock. I don't want to get a call in the middle of the night. I always fear that when I hear the phone ringing at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, I know there's something wrong before I answer that phone. And I'll give you an incident where, a few months ago that we had a tragedy within our own family, and we were in Dublin. And we sat in the car park all day, all night, and the nurse in the intensive care said to me, she said, Kiwi, can I speak to you? And I said, yeah. And she said, can I ask you a question? She said, I don't really want to ask her, but I have to ask it. I have to know. And I said, what is it? And she said, why do you stand in the car park? Why do you do it like? And I said, what do you mean? And she said, why do you stand in the car park all day? The person doesn't know you're here. And I said, no, spiritually, we know that she knows we're here. And I think if you ever want to get a reality call about the traveller community and what travellers are, why we're different from settled people, that's one of the things that I'll always, sadly, recognise that we're completely different because spiritually we think if somebody's in hospital, we should be there with them all the time. That's us as travellers. Our funerals are different because, we're culturally different. Our weddings are different. Our communions are different. They're historic moments for us as the members of the traveller community. They're proud, their identity days, that we can be travellers, that who we are, this is how we can showcase it. Showcase to our own family, but also showcase to the wider community how different we are culturally. Because a lot of time you get the thing, you don't speak like a traveller. You don't act like a traveller. Was your grandparents settled? So people try to associate you that if you're educated and you can challenge them on their behaviour or challenge them on their attitudes, then sometimes they think that you belong to them. They kind of claim you. And I've often done that. People often try to say to me, well, your grandparent must have been a settled person or your granny must have been a settled person, because they automatically think you're too well educated. And them kind of culture norms, I suppose, Donal, they separate us in society, and they separate us in the fact that, the Traveller Pride Week and the Traveller Pride Month is around that. It's around being, very proud of who you are. And my point is that, them kind of tragic... I'm 43. I've carried more coffins than at my age. I've carried about 45, maybe 46 coffins. I go to funerals once every 2 weeks or 3 weeks. Unfortunately, that has come a social element of the traveller community. And that is tragic. That you're constantly going to funerals, you're constantly carrying coffins. Like, I said a person the last day, a friend of mine, I said, he's about 46, 47, and I asked him a question. I said, can you tell me, I said, do you know how many funerals have you went to? And he said, geez, no, that's Hugh. He said, about 8 maybe. He said 10, maybe 8 to 10, he said, in my lifetime. I said, how many coffins did you carry? 2, he said. But I said, I've carried about 46, 47, and I've went to about 80 funerals. From a very young age, I was dragged to funerals. And that's the tragic side of the traveller community that people never recognise. They never see or never say what's going on within the traveller community. You know, so Donal, it's a thing there that, you know, as I said, like weddings and christenings and these symbolic days for travellers are very historic. And, you know, these photographs when I'm dead and gone, you know, that they'll always be there as a historic part of Donegal during the COVID. But I'm sure that somebody in 50 or 60 years' time will look back on Donegal Travellers Project and the staff and, you know, the literature that has been developed by the project. You know, Siobhan McLaughlin and Anne Field, who's the managers of it, you know, a fantastic place that celebrates, you know, traveller pride, traveller culture. You know, we have a great team of people within Donegal Travellers Project. You know, the majority are staff and senior roles within the traveller organisation. And that's the way it should be. And that's the way we should be celebrating as a community. Because the two things in life that everybody's going to be sure of, we're all born, but we're all going to die. Yeah. Maybe in different ways, but that's the reality of it. So we're not here for a short period of time, and it's to be respectful to people, live as a community, and, you know, and support each other. We all, you know, and I would just say that.
Still Here, Still Proud is the title that under which Traveller Pride Week is being celebrated, and the exhibition of the photographs, as we say, in the County Museum, running until the end of July. And the tinsmith Tom McDonald is demonstrating his skills in the museum on Thursday afternoon. Hugh Friel, thank you very much indeed.
Thank you, Donal.
Foy & Company are offering amazing discounts on a great selection of display sofas with up to 50% off a range of 2-seater, 3-seater and corner sofas in a choice of colours and styles. If you're getting a new suite of furniture, don't miss the big display sofa clearance sale on now while stocks last at Foy & Company in Letterkenny and Ballybuffet and online at foys.ie.
The Northwest Independent Clinic is now Kingsbridge Private Hospital. Yes, we have arrived in Ballykelly, and if you need treatment or surgery, there is no need to wait. At Kingsbridge Private Hospital Northwest, you will have access to over 300 consultants and hundreds of treatments and services. We are approved by all major insurance companies and self-pay options are available. In fact, treatment could cost less than you think. And with guaranteed 5-star care from treatment right through to your personalised recovery plan, we will be with you every step of the way. So why wait? Visit kingsbridgeprivatehospital.com today.
Mr. Blue Sky, please tell us why. The Euro Millions jackpot is a guaranteed €230 million. Play responsibly in-store, in-app or at lottery.ie. The National Lottery. It could be you.
Is your current car ready for change? If so, now is a good time to visit DMG Motors Donegal Town. Choose from their Skoda range including the Fabia, Scala, Superb, Karoq, Kodiaq, Kamiq, Octavia and the all-new electric Enyaq. Now available for delivery. All fitted with the latest technology, Skoda Connect, with a whole new range of simply clever features. DMG Motors have made buying a new car affordable with finance available on all new vehicles. Test drive the new Skoda today. Call 97213996. Skoda, made for Donegal.
Summer Black Tag sale at Curry's. Save €120 on the Samsung 65-inch Smart 4K TV, now $729. And get the HP 14-inch laptop with Intel Core i3, now $519. Save €150. Get in store or online at currys.ie.
Lingering sunsets in Spain, captivating coastlines in Croatia, dinner overlooking Lake Como. It's time to stop dreaming and start doing. Let us guide you to your dream destination. Just show up, suitcase in hand, and we'll take care of everything. Flights, accommodation, excursions, expert local guides, and all that planning. Secure your spot now on a guided group tour with deposits from €100. See traveldepartment.com. Irish owned and operated for over 25 years. Travel Department. Let's see more.
Experience everything this summer has to offer here at Letterkenny Shopping Centre, with a wide range of shops and services packed with great choice and value for you to explore. You can enjoy free parking, Wi-Fi and take a break with our popular outdoor seating area. Letterkenny Shopping Centre. We can't wait to see you.
If you're thinking of changing some furniture, a huge sale is now on at McGinley's Furniture in Letterkenny. It's a chance to save hundreds of euros on floor model suites, beds and mattresses, dining and occasional furniture, with reductions in all departments. It's a great opportunity to grab a real bargain in the big sale now on at McGinley's Furniture on the Joe Boner Link Road, Letterkenny. See mcginleysfurniture.com.
Hi, it's Owen. I can't answer the phone right now. I'm currently enjoying the advanced comfort seats and suspension with progressive hydraulic cushions in my new Citroen C5 Aircross SUV. I'm really enjoying the drive, so please don't leave a message.
With Citroen's advanced comfort technology, you may end up travelling further than you planned. Experience Citroen Comfort, a 5-year warranty and flexible payment options across the range. For more, see citroen.ie.
Citroën. The new Citroen C5 Aircross is now available at your local dealer, Highland Motors, Mountain Top, Letterkenny.
The 9 till noon show with Letterkenny Credit Union, now offering mortgages from 40,000 to 600,000 euro with no hidden fees or transaction charges. Letterkenny Credit Union, 9102127.
It's the 9 till noon show on Highland Radio. Joined in studio by Andrea McBride, who's the head of the TCS Global Delivery Centre in Letterkenny. And some people may be wondering what the TCS Global Delivery Centre in Letterkenny is. Well, TCS is a Tata Consultancy Services. They're an international company, and they bought out much of what would have been Primerica's operations in Letterkenny some years ago. Andrea, good morning.
Morning, Donal. How are you?
Just briefly, if you would, just give us just the potted history of TCS's arrival in Letterkenny, because for quite a few staff, it was pretty much a seamless thing. People almost didn't notice it.
Yes, so we were Primerica. A lot of the county would be familiar with Primerica over the years. I mean, I've been there since day one, 20 years ago. And we were a captive of Prudential Financial in the US. But a change of leadership in the US, and I suppose Letterkenny wasn't on their agenda. So we're very grateful that this company, Tata in India, TCS, came in and bought us out, bought the building and transferred over all the staff in the same terms and conditions in 2020. So yeah, a pretty seamless integration into the new company. And just, I suppose, a bit of background on Tata. They're a huge multinational, the biggest in India. They own Jaguar, Land Rover, Range Rover. They own Air India, the airline, Daewoo Trucks, all the Taj hotels. They're just massive. Tata Steel, Tata Chemicals. So TCS is one of the companies that they own, and TCS have 600,000 employees in 46 countries around the world, and you know they're in Ireland 20 years, but wouldn't have been very big. So the acquisition of Primerica has enabled TCS now to play a huge role in Ireland.
And the primary reason you're here really is to highlight the fact that they want to increase that recruitment by more than 200 here in Letterkenny.
Yes, exactly. Demand is through the roof. We are working with 50 different clients now across all sectors. Many of the large retailers in the UK, we're doing the IT for them. Travel, tourism, ESB, a lot of Irish clients as well. Insurance companies, big banks in Europe. So staff are pivoting onto new skills, learning, working with new clients, working in new industries, and we have huge demand from the US, from the UK, Ireland and across Europe.
The sort of people you're looking for right across a number of disciplines in IT and other sectors as well?
Yeah, from an IT point of view, we're looking for cloud engineers, cyber security engineers, data analytics, digital marketing and design and software engineers. But we're also looking for customer service and back office staff. So, my appeal today is for maybe mums and dads or folks sitting in the different corners of the county or the region and thinking that they have to drive to Letterkenny every day. They don't have to. They can work from home doing these roles. So just a huge range of roles, available. And we're having an open evening on Thursday from 6 to 8, and we would invite anyone who wants to come along and get a view of the building and talk to people, the relevant folks about the roles, you're very welcome.
And it is the building that would have been the old Primerica building off the Business Park Road there, halfway down. You can't miss it. It's a big, huge one, just down from CETA. Language, very important as well. Obviously, Tata is a global company, and the work being done by TCS in Letterkenny is work that's going around the world. So people with language skills will be particularly welcome. Exactly.
We're looking for all European language skills, especially German, Spanish, Italian, French, Polish, Dutch, and also Hungarian. We've a wide range of roles available for those language skills as well.
So in terms of the career open evening, how is this going to work? Would it be seen as an informal interview, or is this just a sort of an information session upon which an application can be made, or can perhaps the first steps be taken on the night?
I would say both, yeah. If you're not ready to, come in and do an interview, you can come in and chat to folks, get backgrounds on the roles, and submit your CV. We also have a portal. You can submit your CV on tcscareers.ie in advance. But please do, come in and get to know more about the roles and see, because there's such a vast array, and what you think you may not be suitable for might surprise you on the night that you do have the skills and qualifications for.
So, I mean, IT qualifications important along those areas that you spoke about. But as you say, IT support and what would be regarded as or call centre work, effectively, that's all there. The language is important too. So, if people are interested, and as you said, particularly maybe people coming back to the workforce, people who haven't worked for a while, and a lot of talk too about maybe potentially people coming back to the county and moving back to Donegal from elsewhere, and now with working from home options available, that is, you're saying, encouraged in CCS? Exactly, it's encouraged. The majority of our workforce now are working on a hybrid model. A lot of people are still working at home. We had our biggest number in the office last week. We had, I think, 420 in on Wednesday and Thursday. But, people can choose to work from home. They can choose to come in a couple of days a week, which I do. It suits me, just to get out of the house for a day. Or they can come in full time, whatever works. And we have folks working all across Ireland and Northern Ireland for TCS and Letterkenny. So you don't have to be tied to the county or the region. Yep. More information, as you said, tcscareers.ie, and the open evening taking place at the building in the Technology Park, and that's on Thursday from 6 to 8 p.m. Yes. Oh, Andrea McBride, head of the TCS Global Delivery Centre in Letterkenny. Thanks indeed for speaking to us this morning. Thanks, Donal.
Michael Murphy Sports and Leisure has everything you need for getting fit in 2022. From training gear to resistance bands, skipping ropes, weights and foam rollers, we have all the essentials to see you through every step of your fitness journey, from training to recovery. Shop our range of gym wear, equipment and accessories at michaelmurphysports.ie.
Years ago, I used to dread my motor insurance renewal. Then a friend told me about O'Malley Scanlon Insurance in Ballybofey and Dunlow. They do all the hard work. They contact all the major insurance underwriters and they get the very best possible quote for me. They have saved me a small fortune over the years, and they could do the same for you.
When your insurance comes up for renewal, contact O'Malley Scanlon Insurance at their Ballybofey office on 9131020 or their Dunlow office on 952206. O'Malley Scanlon is regulated by the Central Bank.
It's time to upgrade. Remember, when upgrading, even a few years, you're looking at better fuel efficiency and enhanced safety features. With the largest selection of pre-owned vehicles available in Donegal, at iMotors, we are confident we have your next car. All of our cars come with up to 12-month warranty. Call into us in Letterkenny or Malin, or check out imotors.ie.
For all your training needs, Northwest Forestry Services Training Department Ballybofey offer a wide range of courses from training bodies such as NPTC City and Guilds, QQI, LADRA and ABA International. Courses include all land-based services such as chainsaw, tree climbing and rescue, pesticides, working in heights and ATV training. Other courses offered include first aid responder, manual handling and building safety, to name but a few. For a full list of training courses and availability, contact Northwest Northwest Forestry Services Ballybuffet on 074 9132033.
The 9 till noon show with Letterkenny Credit Union. Is your bank leaving town? Letterkenny Credit Union is now offering MyCU current account and debit MasterCard, bringing full banking features with no appointment necessary to open your account.
Just a few of your comments regarding abortion. Caller says, I believe it's a woman's choice. It's a right and it's in our constitution. It's only being debated because of America. A reference there, obviously, to the decision of the Supreme Court in June to overturn Roe versus Wade. Caller says, yesterday it came out the HSE spent 3 times what they should have done on PPE. It was uncapped and there is nobody accountable. Private hospitals make money because they cut the waste. Yeah, and I know Sinn Féin are saying that there should be a debate on those PPE figures, but a lot of people saying too, look, at the start of COVID, the HSE was doing everything it could to try and get PPE, and we all remember what those few months of March, you think of the way it was from March into April into May. For the first week or two in March, it was, this is a serious situation, but it's going to be over by Easter. And then suddenly, the closer we got to Easter, the more we realised there were serious problems. We saw what was happening elsewhere, and the importance of PPE came, front and centre, and I think we have to see it in that context. With regards to Euro millions, there could be 230 millionaires with 230 people winning €1 million. That's a comment that's come into us. Just reading that last year there were only 2 convictions for dog littering offences in the whole of Donegal. Why are there so few convictions? Yet it's a scourge on every footpath in every town in the county. Caller says, fair play to Mary T. Sweeney for speaking out for the sacredness of human life. Every life is precious and deserves a chance to live regardless of the disability or deformity. Another caller says, Mary T is commenting and saying that only one side of the argument was aired. Mary and Enthu are also very one-sided. I would not like women seeking abortions to be criminalised the way it is in some states in America now. It's a choice and no one but the woman knows the reasons behind this difficult decision. The last thing women need is a backlash, and there's a lot to be said for people minding their own business. It's a debate. It will continue to be a debate, and the most important thing I would say is it's a debate that has to be conducted in a compassionate and understanding way. Caller says the GAA teams shouldn't be going out the same tunnels at the end of the match. Has we not learned that it ends in a brawl? Does anybody know if there's a bus for the ladies' match going to Dublin at the weekend? Donegal will be playing Meath, if I'm correct, and if I'm not correct, I apologise. I think it's Meath that Donegal are playing in the Ladies Senior All-Ireland semi-final in Croke Park on is it Saturday afternoon? Certainly it's at the weekend anyway. And are there any buses going up? If you know of buses going up, please let us know and we'll put the information out there. Keep listening to Oisín on Sport. I mean, Oisín and the team will be all over this, and if there are buses, they will they will let you know. Caller says, just to know the bogus HSE text is still doing the rounds. If you are a close contact, you do not have to pay for antigen tests. We spoke earlier to our caller about the luggage in Dublin Airport. In relation to the luggage in Dublin Airport, if someone's friend was able to fly from London and retrieve their suitcase for them, then obviously the luggage is sitting there and not secure. It seems like anyone could come in on any flight and steal people's luggage. Very worrying for all involved. I can tell you, I was there at the airport myself a week ago Saturday, and there is a little area in the arrivals hall. It's corralled off and it's just full of bags. Now, what the protocol for dealing with those bags is, I cannot say, I do not know, but certainly there were a load of bags just sitting over there in that corner. Caller asks, why can't Diurolite be got anymore? I'm on 10 sachets a day, have been for years. I can't get used to any of the substitutes. I have Crohn's disease. Thank you for taking the time to read this. I found myself having to use Diurolite in the past. I wasn't aware that there were problems with accessing it. And I wish you well, caller, and certainly we'll put that question out there. Let's take some music, shall we? Here's a song that's, we're going to dedicate this to all those people who are working remotely and don't have to worry, for now at least, about getting the morning train.
Another
Eastern and 9 to 5. We're going to Zoom and we're going to speak to an author. A lot of focus on Belfast over the past number of months because of the Kenneth Branagh film, a film which he wrote and directed and reflects his life as a young man, or perhaps maybe reflects, more accurately described as reflects his own perception of his life as a young man. I'm going to speak now via Zoom to another man who has been reflecting on his childhood in Belfast, a man that you will know very well indeed, albeit in another sphere, the sphere of politics. Jerry Adams, good morning.
Good morning, Donal. Imagine my
Agus Martin Motufan. Jerry, this is Black Mountain, a book of short stories that you've written, and they're stories that are portraits of Ireland, and I think it's fair to say, especially portraits of Belfast.
Yeah, well, Black Mountain, I mean, I'm looking out my window here and I can see Black Mountain. It's the backdrop. Belfast is embraced by these green hills from Cave Hill right across to Colin Divis, Black Mountain, and couple of small ones. They're not mountains in the Donegal scale of mountains. They are actually hills, but it's just the backdrop, particularly of West Belfast, and Ballymurphy, my home place, is in the lower slopes of the mountain. So the title, I suppose, encompasses what the lives of those people. Now, it does venture into Donegal, and it does venture into Galway and into Dublin a few times, but mostly Belfast contained. And it's about the lives of the people who live in the shadow, if you like, or on the slopes of the Black Mountain.
Is this purely fiction? Is this fictionalized versions of events that happened, or is this a thinly disguised autobiography?
No, it's not an autobiography at all. Obviously, elements of it may reflect my life or bits and pieces of things that have happened or that characters who I have met along the way. But there are 16 stories here, and I found the process of writing them, and I was assisted by a man called Timothy O'Grady, who I consider to be a very, very fine writer. The process of writing them it's magical. So some of the stories, I knew the story in my head from beginning to end, but some of the stories just took their own route, and some of the characters took their own route. And it's if you think about it, these like anybody else, and I'm a very modest writer, but by modest I mean my output is very modest. And these are little stories about little people, but it happens in my mind. So it's in my head. I put it on a page. Somebody reads it, and then they are, saddened, made happy, made laugh, moved, got angry by something which is a work of imagination. So I just think that's a magical process, and we obviously in Ireland have a very strong, not least in Donegal, a very strong oral tradition and written tradition, but an oral tradition in both the English and the Irish language. And these stories, I would like to think, reflect some of that. And they are, I have to stress, they are about folks who might not otherwise feature in anybody's short story.
I want to talk to you about language, because there's a quote in your own introduction to the book that I found fascinating and very interesting. He said, "The English language in Ireland is more dominant for obvious reasons. It is a form of English drawn from and influenced by the Irish language. They tried to destroy our language. We hibernicized theirs. I hope these stories are part of that tradition. Some tell a story which may not often be told." I find that a really interesting way of looking at things, that you're acknowledging in a sense that, yes, the stories are written in the English language, but it's an English language that's been hibernicized. And, if not totally annexed, certainly it's been used to your own devices.
Yeah, well, we all of us who live on the island of Ireland and who speak English speak Hiberno English. Like we have shaped it to suit our own and to reflect our own native language, even though we might not have that many contrary Dukishes, Bio Fos. We might not have that many native speakers around at the moment, but we're all raised in the idiom of Irish language constructions, which carry forward into the English language, and little phrases and other ways of putting it. So it's, I mean, I think it's such a rich mine to be going in and digging out, and every so often you'll get a little diamond, you'll get a little expression. Sure, you must know yourself, Donal. Somebody will say something. I mean, something happened to me the other day, and somebody used the expression "pure," but they were talking about he was pure horrible.
Oh yeah, totally, yeah.
Yeah, no, so that to me, that just struck me as just a lovely use of language.
And the interesting thing is every area has its own. I mean, you know, something could be pure horrible in Belfast. It'll be wild horrible in Donegal. It'll be fierce horrible in Waterford. And there'll be maybe a slightly different take on a slightly different word. I mean, I came to Donegal first from Waterford, you know, and, you know, I thought this use of wild in every sentence was fierce, strange altogether. and you do find that, and there is that Hiberno language. From you spoke earlier that your output has been modest as a writer, but this is your 18th published work. It's your second book of short stories, but it's your 18th published work. And you have been a prolific writer, both in terms of books and obviously in your political career. You would have regularly written manifestos and pamphlets and you know, pieces of rhetoric and pieces of political argument and so on and so forth. So I mean, you're by no means modest in terms of, I mean, anyone who's published 18 works, you know, that's not modest.
Well, fair enough. Fair enough. A lot of that is work. This book is not work.
Yeah.
So a lot of it, you know, I see the politics and the, you know, the strategy documents and the statements and the policy positions and all of that. That's work.
Yeah.
This is something you do it on your own. I find that therapeutic. You know, I spend a lot of time with, you know, a lot of people. So this, you have to go off and daydream and let your imagination roam. You have to get it down on paper. You have to tweak it and revise it and so on. But in this case of these short stories, and because sometimes they take a twist that the writer didn't see. See, it's very hard for me to describe this, but it's just interesting that you can have nearly a pre-cooked story in your head, but some other story just takes legs and goes off on its own.
Absolutely.
Direction. Yeah. And there's a twist and a turn on it, and you know, hopefully the readers will enjoy that. So I find that therapeutic. I find it enjoyable. And then of course, if you meet somebody and they say to you, I was very taken by that short story. I read it last week, and that reminds me of our Jimmy, or that reminds me of our Maggie. No, that's all you need. That's all you need. That some way somebody has picked up on it and has enjoyed it, and it has distracted them. It's taken them out of their own, you know, whatever life they're having, and they're into the imagination. And then they're having a bit of crack.
It's interesting that you used that sort of, you know, this isn't work, because you strike me as being someone who, since leaving politics, and your last, I suppose, really your last public political role was as a TD for Louth, but since then you seem to have very successfully walked away from active politics and gone into your own world. A lot of focus for a while on your social media output, and you were being quite playful on that, and it was quite, you know, obviously we were seeing a very different Gerry Adams, and now in terms of your published output, again, it's a very different Gerry Adams we're seeing. It's a more relaxed Gerry Adams. It's a Gerry Adams who, to use, you know, the phrase, a Gerry Adams who perhaps has found his mojo.
Well, first of all, I'm still engaged in activism. I mean, I've stepped out of public life more or less, and certainly out of public office. I mean, it was an honour for me to represent for so long people in West Belfast and people in Liz and East Meath, and you know, to be part of the whole Sinn Féin party is a great privilege and something I'm very, very proud of. So I'm just as busy, but this does get you. But because I don't now have the responsibility So Mary Lou has to be across everything.
Yeah.
Mary Lou has to be, and Michelle O'Neill and all the other leaders, Pierce Darren, Podrick as well. I don't. So I do have a bit of space to play with these concepts. And I, as I said, I do keep busy. Myself and Richard McCauley have a new book coming out in August, telling the story of the women in Armagh, the protesting prisoners in Armagh. I'm up in the Errigal Hotel on Thursday evening at 7:30, doing readings of this Black Mountain book, and we also have a notion of doing I do a little Leargus edition of small books on people I've known. So one of our next ones is on the late and great Eddie Fullerton. We would hope to do that over the next short period. So you're right that I keep busy. And because I don't have the responsibility that I used to have, then I can give some time to these more enjoyable aspects of life, trying to reflect the community that I come from and the people I've met along the way.
But you're doing what you want to do rather than what political reality forces you to do.
Yeah, absolutely. I remember Donny Morrison saying to me one time, it's great that somebody else isn't running my life. So that's you can say no. I now say no regularly.
Yeah.
I used to never say no.
I referenced earlier the Kenneth Branagh film that came out recently, and it's interesting that he produces this as kind of his vision of early life. You have reflected your vision of life in Belfast in Black Mountain and in other published works as well. I have to ask you, did you see the Branagh film, and what did you think of it?
I enjoyed it immensely. I did see it. I enjoyed it. I'd read the reviews of it, and I actually brought two of my grandkids with me to go and see it. And I'm a big fan of Van Morrison anyway, in terms of his music, notwithstanding his eccentric views on other issues. But I think he's a great poet, and I think he's a great musician. So to have him on the soundtrack, but the story that was told. And it didn't run away from some of the some of the reviews presented it as being sentimental or so on. It didn't run away from the events that happened, which led to the young Branagh and his family leaving Ireland, leaving Belfast. So no, I enjoyed it immensely. I thought it was a very good film.
Jerry Adams, it's been a pleasure speaking to you, and I have no doubt a lot of people will be present for the readings and no doubt signings in the Mount Errigal Hotel in Letterkenny on Thursday evening at 7:30. But for the moment, all the best with Black Mountain and the other works. We'll be looking obviously with great interest on the forthcoming work on Eddie Fullerton. And we wish you all the best, and thanks indeed for speaking to us this morning.
Thank you, Donal, very good and up to date.
Thanks very much indeed.
New this week in Home Store and More. All living room cushions are half price. That's right, half price. But better hurry, because when all the half price living room cushions are gone, they're gone. Also, all camping is still half price. But when all the half price camping is gone, it's definitely gone. Order online before 2 p.m. for next day delivery, or drop by your local Home Store and More. Home Store and More. A happy home.
Does your little one have a jam-packed schedule? Kit them out at Dunnes Stores with a uniform that can keep up. Get joggers that will survive PE on the muddy pitches from just €5, and sweatshirts that will breeze through messy art projects from just €3.75. Pick up a comfy cotton-rich jumper from just €8, and packs of play-proof polos from just €3. Back to school at Dunnes Stores for little ones with big schedules. Shop online now at dunnesstores.com. Terms and conditions apply.
Mr. Blue Sky, please tell us why. The Euro Millions jackpot is a guaranteed €230 million. Play responsibly in-store, in-app or at lottery.ie. The National Lottery. It could be you.
At Hickey, Clark and Langan Insurance Brokers, they compare quotes from all the leading insurers, so you get a great price. Home, motor and van, farm, holiday home, travel and liability insurance, they quote them all. So if the worst happens, you're covered. For a competitive insurance quote today, call Hickey, Clark and Langan on 9126688 or pop into their office at Ballymacool, Letterkenny. Hickey Clark and Langan General Insurances Limited, trading as Hickey Clark and Langan, is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland.
The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union, offering low-rate car loans with fast approval. Apply online at letterkennycu.ie or in office today.
Welcome back to the 9 till noon show. We're coming toward the end of the programme. Caller says it's a pity you aren't sure who Donegal ladies are playing at the weekend. If the men's team were playing, I'm sure you would know all about it. It's time we started showing more interest in this great Donegal team. As I said, I think they're playing Meath. I can't say that for sure. With regards to Diurolite, the HPRA website had a piece up saying that Diurolite was in short supply and is in short supply for quite a while now. No expected date of return as yet. Unfortunately, the listener should speak to their doctor or pharmacist for alternative. Now, another caller says Diurolite was available at the Healthwise pharmacy in Ballyrain. That certainly may have been the case. Now, we cannot stand over it and say that that remains the case at this point in time. But certainly Diurolite was available in Ballyrain, so we are told. With regards to our conversation earlier with Hugh Friel, caller says travellers, like all people, let themselves down badly at times. A comparison between Native Americans and travellers is far out. Society speaks in a derogatory manner about travellers, but I'm married to an Englishman, and the amount of times in company people think it's okay to abuse the English openly, it really is ignorant. Our children are growing up barely able to admit that their dad is English. There was a poll on the programme yesterday, by the way, with Greg. He asked if you had the choice, would you prefer to work from home? Yes, 79.5%, no, 20.5%. So a huge majority, practically 80%, saying yes, they would, if given the choice, wish to work from home. Some of the comments that came in with the cost of fuel soaring, it's become the only option in the computing-based industry for low and middle income workers. It's now become impossible to afford a 50-mile daily commute. Another caller says, if given a choice, will soon become irrelevant. Ireland has to save planet Earth. A caller says, work from home for sure. With the price of diesel, there's no point in working if you have to travel 90 kilometres to get to work and back. Another caller says, a hybrid, please, a bit of both. And with regards to our discussion earlier on abortion, we spoke to the Professor of Social Care at Trinity. We also spoke to Mary T. Sweeney of Intu and Donegal Pro-Life. Caller says, abortion was guaranteed to be safe, legal and rare. It's not very safe for the baby who is killed, and over 21,000 abortions over the 3 years since it became legal. It's certainly not rare. Every life counts. Offer care and compassion and practical help to families in different situations. And indeed, Mary T. did reference Every Life Counts as well. There is an ongoing debate. Abortion at this point in time is a legally available service within the health service in this country on foot of a constitutional amendment and a law subsequently passed in Dáil Éireann. So we cannot get away from the fact that whatever our own personal position may be, abortion in this country is legal. That brings the end to the 9 till noon show. Thanks to all our contributors, thanks to all our listeners, thanks indeed to Donna Marie and especially Caroline, who produced and, as always, held my hand. John Breslin is next around the Northwest. For myself, Donal Kavanagh, have a very good day.
The National Brown Bread Baking Competition, sponsored by Aldi in conjunction with the NPA and ICA, is back. This year's winner will pocket €15,000 and